Think we're on, maybe? Getting close? Thinking about it? There we go. Now we're on. Alright, we got a bunch of stuff going on here. Coffee shop with no headphones. That's disappointing. Oh wow, sure. I'm using my new camera. And boy oh boy. This new camera, I got all the stuff downloaded, spent all my time making the preview, the little teaser things. If you haven't seen those, go check those out. Those are awesome. But this camera is ridiculous. So I can already tell just looking on my screen how sharp this is. I don't know if you want to see my face in even more HD. But, I mean, you can see the scratches in the gutters on this thing. So, yeah, this is pretty sweet, man. I really, really like this camera. Okay, so there's a few things. I do have some special guests. I don't know who saw that. I'm going to go ahead and start. I mean, there's people still filtering in, but I think that there's a lot of people that are going to watch this video as kind of like a preview. And so I'm going to hit some of the high points here early. I can always go back and catch up or whatever. Anything. So anyway, anything. So you see a bunch of stuff going on here on the screen. Right here behind me, got a new jersey sent to me from Nick Brown from the SRG BBFS group on Facebook, which is Storm Roto Grip Bowling Balls for Sale. We've got over 13,000 members in that group. If you're interested in used stuff, international stuff, drawings, raffles, whatever, I don't think it does. I think they're just drawings. You have an enter and you can win stuff. So if you're looking for any Storm Roto Grip anything, through my application, he'll get to you. Hopefully you can hear me here. But yeah, you get into the group, and if you're looking for any Storm Roto Grip, current, past, anything else, go to that group, sign up. There's a lot of good people on there. He manages it well. He regulates things. It's good. So anyhow, check out SRG BBFS group on Facebook if you're interested in stuff. So beverage of choice so far is grapefruit bubbly. It's sparkling water with just a little bit of flavor, so it's 0 calories, 0 sugar. Tastes amazing, help you get in shape. Thank you, James Kniffen, for putting that info down in there. You have Spy One special guest in the chat right now. So we talked about that. Next, speaking of logo infusion, who is Steve Bowler's show, Dave Waswo is in the house. We're going to talk about logo infusion. That's what's up there on the screen. This is also a logo infusion jersey, by the way. So, if you've ever gone bowling and you bowl in one of these jerseys, you know they're about the most comfortable thing ever. It's like wearing a golf shirt golfing. You'll just never want to bowl in anything else again. If I go bowl in a cotton t-shirt and sweat it all, it just turns into like a towel or something. It's awful. But this material's great, but most of the time when people go to order a jersey, they're thinking, okay, well, I'm going to spend money on a jersey, so it's got to be epic. But then as soon as you get it, you're like, well, I'm just going to wear this to tournaments because I look like a tool wearing this to like league or practice in or something. But there's not a whole lot of like league practice shirts, and especially for those of us staffers that we got to be branded wherever we go. So we got to have our logos on our shirts. I'm with Storm Turbo and SRG BBFS, as you can see. And whenever you're in a bowling center, you need to be branded. You need to have logos on, everything like that. But I feel like a tool bag wearing something like that, and it's a nice jersey, or something like this, just to bowl league in, just for the sake of bowling material. So I had an idea. So what I'm going to do is, and these are going to be available for everybody. I work with Brian Cooper, who's the national sales manager for Logo Infusion, and I'm going to get this that's up here on the screen. It's just kind of basic. It's just a color, and actually I'm going to do them, if you've seen the Turbo backpack colors, those are really sharp, and so the lime one that they had, and I color matched the lime and the red, and they didn't really look right for jerseys, so I scrapped those, but I did do kind of a green like that, and then I did a yellow, plus I did the blue the pink and the orange of the backpack jerseys. So it's gonna be this material. So it's gonna be the nice material. It's just gonna have a crew neck. It's gonna be like a T-shirt. Gonna have the Storm logo, Turbo, SRG, BBFS. Logo Infusion's gonna have their logos on there. These are just some white stripes down the side to kind of break things up. But these are gonna be for like leagues and practice or whatever else. When you go into a bowling center and you want to wear this material, but you don't want to look like a tool bag wearing your $120 name jersey. So I think that's going to be very, very cool. As soon as I get the proofs, I'll put them on Facebook. He's giving me a really quick turnaround, and I think it's going to be great. And Logo Infusion is a supporter of SRG BBFS. They're also a supporter of Dave Waslow, Mike Adamski, and KC Tournaments here in Kansas City. I wouldn't probably bowl a whole lot more tournaments than like the bigger stuff, and they run 1 to 2 sweepers, sometimes even 3 depending on the month. Sweepers in the Kansas City area. They travel all over the place. They keep track of points. We have an end of the year tournament. We have holiday tournaments. We have regular tournaments. We have all kinds of other stuff, and they have what they're doing, the Greater KC Open, that's going to be in September, and they're trying to make that something like Greater Tulsa Open, Greater Ozarks, something like that. It's growing pretty fast. I think this is the 3rd or 4th year, and yes, 2 Storm patches. Mike Ursery sent me a crap load of patches, so I got patches everywhere, so I'll have to remember to stick. I've actually got a patch package in my bag, so that's the other thing. This is the new... so thanks Logo Infusion, by the way. So everything's made in the USA too. They don't do any outsourcing, so nothing's coming from Indonesia or China or Korea or anything like that. Logo Infusion does everything here in the USA. So proud to have their support and be working with stuff. And this is going to be pretty awesome for those of you. The Storm contract kind of overrides everything, so I can't use. So like if Storm has a backpack and tournament rollers and whatever else, I need to use the Storm branded merchandise for my equipment. I would really like to use the Turbo bags because those colors are just great. Now, this is really sharp. I like the new bags I got, but those Turbo colors are really sharp, and so this is going to be a way for me to kind of cheat a little bit, so to speak. Well, not cheat, just kind of rep everybody. So I'll have all my logos, I'll have my Storm stuff, I'll have my Turbo colors, I'll have everything, and they're going to be really sharp. I'm super excited about those. Now this is the Storm Deluxe backpack. This is something new that you can get. It's got pockets everywhere. I've been losing stuff because, yeah, I don't have any Logo Infusion patches. So, yeah, I would appreciate some Logo Infusion patches too. I think everything I get from now on is going to have the Logo Infusion branding, but I can't put the patches on like the bag because I'm not quite in NASCAR territory yet, so I think that the bag could use some more patches and the other bags and everything like that, so the patches are good. Hello, Brian Groves. He's another guy. Look at Brian Groves on Facebook if you're into losing weight, getting in shape, or just some stuff to when you have early morning tournaments or you're traveling most of the time, you eat junk food. This is a guy that's really motivational. He posts all the time, really inspirational, positive, and he can help you out with some products that'll get you on the track to either losing weight, being healthier, or just instead of having junk food, you can mix a shake or something for a bowling tournament. So look up Brian Groves on Facebook. Back to the backpack here. It's got pockets everywhere. I do have the regular other backpack, but I was finding that I was putting stuff in it and wanting more pockets. This has all kinds of pockets everywhere, and it's super heavy duty. I'm a really big fan of this. It's even got like a chest, like you can, this stuff goes around in front, and okay. There's like clips and everything that'll go around you on the front, and then you've got little thumb holders here, and it's got all kinds of pockets. It's really nice. I really, really like it. You can find it on the website. Thank you, Joe Zapansky. Oh, open that backpack up and demo it for us. There's way too much crap in there, and I am way too... I've got problems here, so I can't really move. At the time, I am going to do a video on this though. So dang, thank you Joe and Jeremy for the donations. Awesome possum. You take on what's in the bag, yeah. Yeah, you guys got the floor if there's anything you want to talk about. I think we're about to have a special guest drop in here sometime soon. Also, another thing I want to hit really quick is the Turbo YouTube channel. So, if anybody is into any of the turbo grips, turbo accessories, if you haven't on the website, like I said, the bags are freaking cool. They're all these neon colors. Speaking of that, I'll get back to that in a minute. So, hello? You there? Okay, okay, there we go. All right, talk again. I think I got this worked out.
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Yeah, I think so. I can hear you. I just got to turn the sound up. All right. Dave from Melbourne, Australia. Yep, me and the wife are well. So, what's up, Chad? Dang, Shay, thank you.
Are we live?
Yes, we're live. Yeah.
Flip, I shouldn't. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So.
Whew, I was just about to be just talking off the cuff, but
yeah. No,
let me know.
Yeah. We're ready to go right here. So, I'm gonna.
Awesome.
I'm gonna put the backpack down. Hey, everybody, let me know if you can hear Chad. Okay, I've got a speaker. We tried to do this interview thing for the Crux Prime a few months ago, and I had the phone next to the microphone, and it was really scratchy and warbly, and so I had to ditch. We talked for like 30 minutes, and I had to ditch all of it except for like the 45 seconds I used in that little promo clip or whatever. But I think we got it all figured out. So I'm gonna plop the ball up here that we're talking about. I did get it drilled, and I did get video for it today. So, Chad McLean, for those of you who don't know, is Storm's technical director. He's the guy that comes up with all this interesting and really cool stuff. So, let's talk a little astrophysics, because let me see, the physics has been out, when did it release, like December or something? Longer than that, earlier than that?
Give me about 30 seconds, I'll tell you. Yeah, that was the last big release just before the Crux Prime, sure. Mm-hmm.
Yep, so the physics was NRG hybrid, and it's got the brand new atomic core in it. That for me gives me quite a bit of torque downlane. So for a ball with that kind of surface on it, it's a pretty big booming back end for me, and I think probably a lot of other people.
Hold on, I'm going to get the better spot. I'm breaking up.
Okie doke. So anyway, okay, bam, got all kinds of stuff coming through, so that'll be awesome. If I can pull up.
Ooh, questions. I like questions. Questions make my job easier.
Yeah.
Start talking about something I wasn't originally planning on talking about. So yeah. Awesome.
All right. So got that taken care of, so that's good. All right. So when we first heard about the astrophysics, me, like I think every other hipster out there, was thinking, okay, we had energy hybrid on the astrophys or the physics. Are we going to see NRG Pearl here again? And then one of my informants overseas had mentioned, well, they say it's going to be R2S, and so I'm thinking R2S Pearl. Okay, I was really in hipster mode, hoping for like NRG Pearl, but we talked about this a little bit, and once I actually slowed down and thought about it a little bit, NRG Pearl is pretty early and smooth for a Pearl, for me anyway. And thinking about all the other covers, the other Pearl covers that you guys could have used, R2S Pearl at the end of the day just made the most sense. So what are your thoughts there? I know that you did I'm sure that you did some testing with some other covers, but how did you end up at R2S Pearl?
Wow, there's so many points to that question. Well, let's see. The first thing that kind of resonated with me was what you said about NRG Pearl. Now, it's early Well, it was built to kind of clear the heads, right? That's what pearls are kind of known for. So those two aspects kind of fight each other. Can you name off the top of your head how many NRG pearls there have been?
No, and the ones that I've used, right, I've actually got a Marble Max SE that's got Energy Smooth Pearl. I think that's a little bit different.
Yeah, that's the trick. That's the trick. See, there haven't been too many straight Energy pearls because we feel like they kind of fight each other. So what we have to do is play with other things to get that Energy smooth, and that cover works well. But that is a totally complete, that's a different animal compared to NRG. Mm-hmm. So knowing that, we were like, well, what if we just shaped up the hybrid pearl ratio, right? And then maybe change the surface and the color, which we all know does something different. So maybe that would give us enough spread, right? So we built this thing. I want to go off because, our design and pencil will give us so many characters and things. So for all those viewers, I'll give you a little behind the scenes info. So Luke lightly touched on it. R2S made the most sense. So we wanted to see what the physics would do in a different form, like I mentioned a second ago. Mm-hmm. Now, we came up with the colors. Man, we hit it spot on. This ball looks fantastic. Yeah. But the spread between that and the original physics just wasn't enough, there. So we analyzed the line and see there's a lot of big covers in that line. And there was a couple big covers coming down the line post facto that we all know now today as a spec, right? So we've got all these big covers in this line, but we haven't had that code black look since the code black went away. And the physics with R2S Pearl and, of course, polished logically made the most sense. And once we made the samples and threw it, the ball rolled fantastic. But another behind the scenes, the type of cover stock almost changes the kind of undertones of any color that you put in it. So an NRG, you put the same amount of colors and dyes and liquids and everything in there. From R2S to an NRG, but the two balls will look completely different. Yeah. So we did everything properly that we did for the NRG as far as colors and mixing and stuff to the same R2S, right? But the balls look completely different. In fact, the R2S just did not look good at all. So we went through, oh my gosh, it was at least 12 different versions of the AstroPhysiX until we finally landed on a color that the office agreed upon, which is that cyan and indigo and that awesome charcoal. So a lot of it seems like every ball has a story, and that ball had quite the story. Does that answer your question? I don't know. I touched on a lot of things.
Yeah. All right. Let me see. I think I have an error with the stream, apparently. So, let me see here.
Can you hear me? Did I go?
Yeah, no. I'm still with you, but the oh, okay. Thanks, James. Stream is fine, no errors here. Okay. So it's just okay, yeah, we're good. Cool. A couple people had their YouTubes freeze a little bit, so Alright, so on from there. So and throwing it here, and that's another the point that you raised about the code black was something else where everybody's trying to get a hold of code blacks, and they were a big fan of that of a bigger, more torquey core with a cleaner, more controllable cover stock that's not gonna probably roll at your toes like NRG Pearl would. So I think NRG is a very early, it's very forward off the end of the pattern, and so yeah, like what you were saying, Pearl and that doesn't really, because when you think of Pearl, you think of length and snap, and that's just not really an NRG characteristic, period. So
yeah, it's kind of the same thing like with high RG balls with big covers,
Yeah.
they just kind of fight each other, right? So that's just my take on it.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And after having thrown it, it is a really good complement to the physics, because I think that what you want out of like a solid hybrid pearl variations with the same core is the solid's going to be your early smooth one. The hybrid's going to be kind of in between. It's going to offer you a little bit cleaner. It's going to go a little bit cleaner down the lane, a little bit more pop on the back end, and the solid and the pearl is going to be even cleaner and sharper than that. And so if Energy Pearl was just, I think it was going to be earlier and smoother than the physics almost. So this feels a lot more like a true complement to the physics, even though the cover stocks are different, but it works. And I'm a pretty big fan already just from and like I was going back to I started rambling here, but for all those that are missing the code black, the AstroPhysiX is really, really close. For me, it's a little bit longer and it's a little bit stronger. That core gives me a little bit more length, a little bit more torque on the back end. The code black for me was with that super high differential. What is that on the RAD4? It's like 058. So
yeah, that's hot. Yep.
And then the intermediate differential, I think, is a little bit higher on that one too, I believe. But anyway, technobabble aside, it's a little bit longer and a little bit stronger for me than the code black. But have a code black if you're missing it, if something happened to it, whatever. This is really, really close. So it's a great complement to the physics, and it fills that gap that was left by the passing of the code black.
Mm-hmm.
So any more interesting tidbits or trivia or kind of behind the scenes stuff that people don't get? You covered a bunch of stuff, but you have any other interesting factoids or tidbits about the Astro?
Oh man, you're putting me through my paces.
Yeah, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Let's see. About the Astro.
How about the?
I got the inspiration for the name because I recently discovered Neil deGrasse Tyson. Well, I say recently, maybe a good year or so now, but I've been studying his talks and reading his book currently, and I just find him interesting. So I was like, well, physics, astrophysics, I think it works, you know. And then looking at some of the, Hubble telescope images, I found a really cool image of, I think it was like the Crab Nebula or something. And I saw those colors in it, and then I swatched them and then sent it down to the lab, and the rest is history. But I do have Neil deGrasse Tyson's contact form. I'm trying to reach out to him to come do maybe a video. I don't know, maybe come over to Bowl Expo, make an appearance. But I will be reaching out to him because he likes learning new things, and I don't think I wouldn't assume he would know too much about bowling. I might be able to teach him something and find it interesting. So maybe that's a future campaign. So stay tuned.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. And I think that there's a lot of things that you can do with the physics name. So let me see. How about sense? When you go to design figure out what the ball smells like, how exactly, or maybe we can do that. How do you get the scent into the bowling ball, and how does it stay there for so long?
Well, we do not manufacture the scents there. We do bring them in out of house, but the fragrances we use, I think on our shelf, on Steve's shelf, he has close to 300 different fragrances. Mm-hmm. Now, they fed us these things to sample and test in balls and things like that, but the vast majority of them change their compound, substructure changes. So once that gets put into a urethane, and that urethane heats up, several hundred degrees in a very short time, that changes the fragrance, and it doesn't smell like what it did in the bottle. Huh. So, and that happens a lot of the time. So the fruity ones are usually good. They're a fan favorite. I do a tech fair for the Boys and Girls Club up here, just north of us, and that's kind of like my time to test fragrances to the public.
Oh, okay.
Because kids are brutally honest. These kids are like fifth graders to high seniors in high school. And then they'll tell you, like, oh man, that smells awesome. And then this other one, oh, that smells like crap. And so, like the lock, no one hated that lock. In fact, one kid almost threw up, honestly, on the lock. Kind of fun. And the rocket was the other one, the other big ball at the time. And that was like orange clove or something. Everyone's like, oh my God, it smells amazing. So we usually hang around the fruity ones. And then we have our kind of like Yankee Candle sort of fragrances where it's like vanilla or something. Those are okay too, but the aromatherapy, kind of like the perfumey, cologne type stuff, not too many people like those. So if we can at least find a fragrance that everyone can agree upon and it kind of goes with the theme of the ball, like the AstroPhysiX is plum nectar, it looks like plum nectar, right?
Yeah, it really
so
is.
try and match it up with just kind of the overall brand of that ball.
All right. Well, that's some talk on the AstroPhysiX. I do have a couple questions here in the chat for you. Let's see. Let me see. Okay. Storm giving any consideration to offering a polyester ball with a real core instead of a pancake block?
Well, you have to talk to the. That's a tough one to answer because first of all, we don't make our polyesters in Utah. It's a completely different manufacturing process. So, pancake blocks off-site before I believe the factory burnt down in Asia. As everyone knows, we did our polyester from Michigan. The mixes do come from overseas. It's a completely different process. So it's hard enough to do quality control and audits on balls that come from other places, especially different countries. So I can't even begin to describe to you the changes that we have to make on the fly for balancing some of these cores inside their shells because something happens, to the master mold, and then all of a sudden you have like 6-inch pins or 5 ounces of top weight. That happens all the time with these cores. Luckily, these guys are awesome and they catch these problems before they happen. But trying to do that overseas and manage that quality control, it's going to take. It took Storm 25 years to get where they are. Imagine trying to do that overseas in another country that the only places in the world that can manufacture these types of balls, and not use anything in translation. You see what I'm saying? Well, logistically, it's just a nightmare. So I commend the companies that can do it, but right now it's not in our immediate plans. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, no, I think that's good.
All right.
We have another one here. Let's see. This is one you probably can't answer. I mean, you don't answer questions like this for me. So, is the intent?
Well, you scratch my back. I scratch you. So we'll figure something out.
Interesting. All right.
Hit me.
Is the Intense series done? Because there was the Pearl Intense, then there was the Intense Fire that was a hybrid. So, will there be a solid, or is that it?
Oh, well, there aren't any immediate plans, but again, this industry changes on the fly, and trust me, we've added balls in to our schedule on shorter than a week's notice, and so anything can happen. It just depends on just a mess of things. So I can't say yes, I can't say no, but. Just stay tuned. You never know.
Yeah, I do. I'm a big fan of that core, so I would hope that we
There's
get?
been a few OEMs in it. It hasn't taken off overseas like the Gate or even the Codes. Codes still rock, and the Rad X still kicks butt over there. But yeah, the Intention's just kind of hanging out.
Okay, let me see here. I'm trying to read and talk at the same time here. There are some people asking about the IQ Emerald, but we have another special guest that's kind of hanging out in the wings waiting to talk about that one. So I think we'll probably go on ahead and let you go with that.
All right.
Some good things going on, especially in the Premier line. You guys have got like bunches and bunches of options, and then of course another Crux came out, which was a big curveball for everybody. The Physics has been popular. I think the Astro is going to be really, really popular because it looks sexy, it rolls sexy, it smells sexy. It's trifecta, triple threat. So really, really impressed and happy. I did get to throw them last night and then today. So I got my video stuff all together, and so it's definitely gonna be 2 thumbs up for me across the board. So really big fans of these. I think that people are really gonna like them, especially the Astro looks great, but when you get the IQ in your hands and you have some light on it, it really sparkles and shines. It looks so much better than the stock image. I know that you can't really do much with the stock image, but yeah, I think people are really going to be impressed. These have a lot of what's the shelf appeal? Have a lot of shelf appeal, and then it's just some can't go wrong type formulas. So really, really awesome.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't a groundbreaking new tech or anything like that. So my intent was to definitely make them look and performance and stuff there. So yeah, keep them up because I gotta give a shout out to Alex Hoskins. He's doing fantastic work in the lab. And trust me, we've tested more balls since he's taken that R&D manager position than we have been. She's probably my entire duration. So what's rolling through there is pretty impressive stuff. So we're not slowing down. It's just we're not slowing down. So wait, more big stuff coming there this year. So stay tuned.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, well, thanks a bunch. Chad McLean, Storm's technical director, important guy. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for answering some questions. And the behind-the-scenes stuff is always pretty fascinating. So we're gonna let you go, and we'll let your minion get in here and.
Yeah, go easy on him. He's still new.
Yeah, your little errand boy. Yeah, just as long as he says storm, and I think he's probably got that figured out by now. But. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks a bunch, Chad McLean.
All right. Talk to you later.
Yep, we'll let you go. Thank you.
Peace.
All right. So, definite thanks to Chad McLean for joining us. Like I said, he's Storm's technical director. He's the guy that designs all this stuff and kind of manages the whole process of designing and putting out new bowling balls. So yes, we did answer the question about the polyester ball with a real core. Manufacturing is all done for polyester stuff overseas. It's just so tricky and so tough that they don't have any immediate plans right now. But obviously never rule anything out. So I think I can probably answer that one. Is the spec cover meeting expectations? Can we expect to see it more moving forward? Yes, it's a little tricky with the pearl because of the properties of that cover. I think it's going to be tough to do a pearl because I think the spec core or the spec cover is kind of in line with the NRG cover with kind of some of its properties, and so the chemical adhesion and digging in and having a true read on the lane, it's going to be tough to get that in kind of a long and flippy deal. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna go back up. Sorry if I missed any questions here. Looks like James is helping me out a bunch. Thank you, James Kniffen, for helping out. Thank you for the donations again. I'll get back to those. Joe, Jeremy, and Shay. Always in. Shay's in the lead right now, by the way, so, 30 minutes later. Or whatever. So that's the AstroPhysiX again. I was kind of being a hipster, and I think that a lot of other people are being hipsters with it too, and thinking, okay, so it's R2S Pearl again. I was hoping for something more exotic, but at the same time, like we talked about, NRG is just, it's early, it's smooth, it's more forward off into the pattern, so that's not, when you think Pearl, you're normally thinking long and flippy, so that doesn't really work out. R3S Pearl is again really pretty strong. We had that on the Intense. That's very, very strong. We haven't seen R4S Pearl over here yet. But when you're thinking about the scope of kind of their cover stocks, this one, R2S Pearl, made the most sense. And it's a name that you know what you're getting. It's like when Hammer put out a Black Widow. You know what you're getting. And so I think that sometimes that gives you a lot more confidence when you go to buy something, especially when you say, okay, well, this is, hints of the code black, or, pretty strong similarities there with the code black. I think that when you get this in your hands and you start throwing it, you'll forget all about what core, what cover, or whatever. It's a good ball. It rolls really well. I'll have my videos up next week. We have a deadline. So 3 weeks before the ball's release is when we can start posting videos. So I'll have mine up right on that deadline. I've already got video for them. I just got to put everything together now. I have a week to do that, so pretty excited about that. R4S Pearl was on the street fight, but I keep thinking that that's hybrid. I don't know why. I think that's probably because it came sanded. Thank you, James Kniffen. I still have one back there. So yes, William Hall, your crew always answer my questions and usually buy a new ball. Sweet. Yeah. A bunch of thanks to James. He kind of runs a lot of my stuff. And I'm not very technical at all, so my Discord probably would have fallen apart by now if it wasn't for James. So thanks a bunch. I try to keep up with the comments, but especially when we have more people watching, it's kind of hard to keep track of the comments and everything. So Justin, if you're watching, I think you can probably go on ahead and give me a call. I think we're ready for this. So I had my other special guest come in, and he got me something that was actually very cool and insanely helpful. So I'm going to pull this up. I don't have his number saved, so bam. Assuming this is Justin.
Hello.
Hello. Howdy.
Howdy.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think you sound pretty good so far. I gotta make sure to save this number. I already had Chad's number, but all right. So I'm watching your little snippet here. Let me put this up on the TV. So I also have to put the right ball up here. And this sucker looks sharp. IQ Tour Emerald. It is basically a reskin of the IQ Tour Pearl, which I've never had an IQ Tour Pearl in any form, fashion. I never had an IQ 30, the PBA 60, the 30, the TL 30. I have one on the shelf, but I haven't drilled it. So this is my first IQ Tour Pearl so far, and it's pretty impressive. So I'm going to put your video up here. He got me a video because one of the biggest things that people are going to ask is, well, how does it compare to the gold ball? Well, I don't have a gold ball, and I tried to get somebody to donate me an Alpha Crux for the Prime video, and nobody seemed to want to send me $250 to do that. So this guy, this is Justin Wyman, by the way, or Justin Wee, as most of you probably know. And I'm going to go on ahead and roll your video here. This is a comparison of the Tour Emerald versus the Tour Pearl, and the Physics and the Astro, that you were nice enough to put together last minute for me today. And this is also on YouTube, and so everybody, I'm going to put the link in the chat. Save link.
All right, so what I did for the setup of this, I chose a beaten path, which is a 3-to-1, 39-foot, decent volume pattern. I didn't want to go too heavy to one end of the spectrum or the other for the testing. This snippet of the video doesn't have overlays and things like that on it yet, so I will I'll be adding those. I filmed it earlier today and put it together real quick to get it ready to demonstrate a bit here. So what you can see is between the physics and the Astro just pushes through the fronts cleaner, doesn't see the lane as soon, and is a little more shapely off the end of the pattern, which is what you would expect with the same core with different covers. The cool thing about the IQ Tour Pearl and the Emerald is how on top of each other they are. When you get into messing around with different pigments and different colorants and different pearl formulas and this, that, and the other, oftentimes you will change the resulting shape. That was, feedback on the IQ30 was that it was a couple of feet earlier and usually 3 or 4 more down lane, and that was because of the pigment. It did have the same core. So again, you have the same core and cover formula, you have the same pearl additive, and the Emerald and IQ are right on top of each other. I was standing in the same place. I was throwing them at the same spot. These ones are crossing 16, 17 at the arrows. The spot's going to be 6 or 7. I threw the physics first, so they're actually in similar places on the lane, but the physics will, they'd all go high or cross over in that zone because they, cut a trough in the lane with that. So it's interesting how you can, step down to the symmetrical ball and stay in the same part of the lane. If you don't want to keep chasing it left, you can make the weaker ball your move. So.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's going to make a lot of people happy because some of the other, and you're still going to have the hipsters that are going to say, okay, well, it's close, but it's not quite the gold ball. It's not quite that. And the IQ Tour 30 was a little bit different, and the 30th anniversary, the PBA 60, whatever else that's come out, just it's been good, but it just hasn't satisfied quite everybody. And I think that from what I've seen of the gold ball, and now having thrown this one, and watching your video, hearing what you're saying, it's really, like you said, it's right. It's got to be right on top of it. So.
Yeah, the biggest thing that you're going to notice is if you have a gold ball and you use it all the time, there's going to be some oil absorption. There's going to be some surface breakdown. There's going to be some, polymer adjustment that happens from the ball rolling, and you have to compare your new Emerald to when your gold ball was newer.
Yeah.
Because as the surface breaks down a little bit over time, if you got 200 games on it, it's not rolling exactly the same as it was out of the box. So you got to remember, a fresher ball versus one that's, and some guys have 3, 4, 5, 600 games on these gold balls because they've been using them, for quite some time now. So.
Yeah, so that's, again, there's still going to be some, I'm sure that there's going to be some serious and heavy debate on this, but either way, it's a fantastic looking ball. It rolls well, it smells good. It's just kind of, again, like the AstroPhysiX, it's kind of the whole package. So I was talking to Chad a couple months ago, and just happened to mention that there was a big hole between like the shiny stuff in the Master line and the shiny stuff in the Thunder line. We had the High Road X is about the strongest thing right now in the Thunder line, and then you step all the way up to the Sonic, which was the next closest shiny thing in the Master line. And I thought, well, we need, I said, well, kind of something like a shiny shiny ball with that C3 core would be awesome. And he said, I like the way that you think, but he didn't give me anything more than that. And then I tried to go your direction too, and you didn't give me anything either. So I tried to sniff out the scoop. Didn't quite happen, but it was worth waiting for. So
some of it I wasn't even versed in. I know the first time you asked me about it, I didn't even know the emerald was a thing yet. So. Knew about the Astro, but I didn't know about the emerald. So.
Yeah. Well, I think this is going to be a nice surprise for everybody. Besides just being a remake, it's fantastic, and I'm really glad that. And I think even if they would have re-released the gold ball, somebody would have said, "Oh, well, the formula's probably changed, tweaked slightly, or the materials they're using now are not like the 2012 or 2011 materials or whatever." So I know that there's all kinds of stuff going on with like the '09 high roads and all kinds of stuff like that. But I like the fact that they redesigned this, because I think if they'd have put the gold ball back out or just back into circulation, it would have been really popular for like 3 or 4 months, and then it was kind of like, okay, well, it's just the gold ball back. Like, it's good, but I think this is going to have a lot more longevity. So, and it's got that gold mica in there, and everything just really looks sharp, and I think this was probably the better decision to do this than the gold ball.
Yeah, get it in sunlight sometime, just for kicks. Take it outside when the sun's shining, which, depending on what part of the country you're in right now, that doesn't happen very often, but you can really, in the intense sunlight, you can really see how deep that emerald is, and it is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, let's see if I can hold it up to the camera here, get it closer. This camera is awesome, I got lights all over the place, but yeah.
It does look really good going down the lane, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right, anyway, for those of you, now that we've been talking to Justin here for 10 minutes or whatever, you are kind of recently, I mean, it was the last 4 or 5 months anyway, technical developer for Storm. And I remember seeing the kind of the job description when it came out to begin with, and it's like, well, a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and some stuff over here and some stuff over here, and you're going to be doing some of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And of course, for people that don't know, you have all the stuff for the sets for the PBA and the PWBA, and so you've been traveling a lot. You're all over the place. In addition to kind of your new role at Storm, so how has that all been going? How has that actually been working? Look like you've been putting a lot of miles on the old vehicle there.
Yeah, 3 days ago I was in Wichita, Kansas, and I'm headed up to Portland, Maine here next week for the PBA playoffs finals. Mm-hmm. So, one of the big things in the industry, that I wanted to get into was, ball development, core design, layout systems. I've got a lot of things that I've come up with over time, like the whole duo grip thing a couple of years ago, and always trying to come up with new ideas and innovate and all these things. And you talk to people all over the country, guys with decades of experience in the industry, and you kind of start to formulate ideas and see things a little differently, and that innovation, and I really needed an outlet for that, because I couldn't sit on my ideas, and already working on all kinds of really cool stuff. And, I started first of the year, January 1st, so it's been, 5.5 months or 5 3/4 now. So yeah. It's been, it's been good. Obviously, there's adjustment to how everything works and who does what and what I'm going to do, and we're figuring it out, though.
Yeah, I think that was the big thing that I got from looking at the job description. It was kind of like, well, this is yours. Take it and run with it. See what can happen. Kind of like a more, I don't know, Google approach or something like that, where they've got ball pits all over the place. And I think that was that's the company where they just want people thinking outside the box. They want you thinking of new and exciting things, and yeah, if you have an idea, try it. If it sucks, we'll just scrap it and move on. But maybe you land on something. Maybe there's a spark. Maybe there's lightning in the bottle. Maybe you've got the idea for the next high road or something like that. But definitely sounds like, yeah. Go ahead.
One of the cool things about traveling with the PBA Tour or PWBA, I'm very closely exposed to the athletes at the highest levels of the sport.
Mm-hmm.
So their feedback and their conversations, help if they think we need this or we need that, or they wish this would happen or that would happen, or, how they think about things, is really good. And I bowl the PBA events while I'm out there because, if I'm doing the show every weekend, it doesn't make sense to commute depending on where it is in the country. So I end up, I go and I bowl, and I get to refine my game. And, this year was my first year out there, so there was a bit of adjustment to new equipment and a new environment. And, I learned a whole lot this past year. And, this upcoming year, really looking forward to that experience. And, sometime soon these ideas are going to start getting through and making it out there, and we'll see how they perform, and having everybody, back at the plant there, Alex and Hank and Chad and Steve and everybody, it's a great sounding board because there's so much experience there.
Yeah.
And, even with, the tenure, they're always open to new ideas. How can we look at this differently? So it's really exciting.
Yeah, and I think that you bowling out there too can give you a lot more insight on those players' perspectives, because I know that there's a lot of stuff that I'm sure that the guys and the gals on their professional tours would really like to see, but at the same time you're still making equipment for the general consumer, and some of the stuff that they do on tour probably isn't completely consumer friendly, but I think you've probably already got some ideas on either side, and maybe how to bridge that gap or give the tour players a little bit of what they want, but still make it more general consumer friendly.
Probably the biggest thing is the lane conditions make it on the consumer side. The lane conditions make it easy to hit the puck.
Yeah.
So you're going to hit the 1-3 most of the time. The trick is maximizing your carry potential and matching up the ball to the bowler in that condition, because it's going to get there, but how's it going to get through the rack? Mm-hmm. If you drill a ball for a guy, comes in and, he carries 2 more 10 pins or 3 more 10 pins a night, so you turn those 9 spares, or maybe 2 9 spares and a 9 miss because, he's an amateur.
Yeah.
You turn those 3 hits into strikes. Well, that one might be in the middle of 2 other ones or 3 other ones. And so, statistically, here we go throughout the year, and at the end of the year, he's averaging 15, 20 pins higher.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily that he had because bowling balls are really tools. And you use a wrench on a bolt, you use a screwdriver on a screw. If you try to go the other way, you're going to have a hard time.
Yeah.
And with the conditions on tour, the players are able to do so much. You can get them a tool that's pretty close, and they can make it work. Where, the consumer side of it, you got to make sure you give them the right tool.
Yeah.
And you got to make sure you're maximizing the performance of that tool. So it's a very different, consumers get really excited about going and getting a new ball. And even if it's a ball that they don't need or they shouldn't buy, it's like, oh, it's new, it's great, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And that excitement with the pros, it's like, okay, here's another tool, what's this one going to do, or what is it going to give me that my bag doesn't have now? And a lot of times guys they might drill one of the new ones and see what it does, or, but they're not on the truck, like, beating down the door, where's that new ball,
Yeah.
So, whereas the consumers, they'll knock on the pro shop door if they're waiting to grab it, which is really cool. And also that comes with responsibility on the manufacturing side to make sure that, the products presented are as good as they can be, because, that is, the foundation of it is those folks that want those balls, and you don't just release balls for the heck of it. You fill holes and build an arsenal, and it's it's really a neat process.
Yeah, I think that speaking of filling holes, I think these fill a couple of big holes. I think that some of the tour players are going to like them, and also just generally for people that have been missing the IQ Tour Pearl. Like I said, there's kind of a gap between the Sonic and the next closest thing on the Thunder line, and from the Astro point of view, we're getting a good complement to the physics, and we're kind of filling the void from the Code Black. So I think that there was all kinds of things, all kinds of extra bonus things that were accomplished with these two releases. So I think that they were really, really smart releases, and it's going to be exciting to see what else is coming down the line. And another thing that I did want to talk to you about is Belmo had something here recently talking about needing to educate the average viewer a little bit more on how tough things really are out on the PBA. And I know that when you're watching the TV show and you kind of see, okay, well, he's throwing the ball and it either strikes or it doesn't, I think people just kind of assume that if you don't strike a whole lot, you're just not very good or something like that. But seeing it up close and personal and week to week on, all over the place, tell me a little bit about how good these guys really are, because I saw it myself at the U.S. Open, and you just don't get the experience on TV as you do bowling with them, and then watching, even if you like at the U.S. Open when you had the several squads during the day, A squad on day one played quite a bit different from C squad at the end of the day, just because the pattern's been laid down a little bit, a couple more times. And but before I ramble too much more, just what's it like seeing it up close and in person and bowling with them?
Probably one of the biggest things is these guys are so keen on their ball motion and seeing what the ball is doing on the lane. And whenever you make a move, you're making a guess. Mm-hmm. You want to make it as educated as possible. And the preemptive moves and the instinctual moves, just getting used to transition, what's happening on the lane. You go out on your Tuesday night league, the highest rev rate in the building might be 425. Some places maybe 450, 470 watts, But out there, the lowest rev rate on the pair is 475.
Yeah.
And you're using surface, usually 500,000 on the fresh for longer, higher volume patterns, even, shorter stuff. So there's been a lot of oil in the fronts out there. So you got high revs, ton of surface. So the lanes change. By the time you get up to throw your next shot on the same, like the right lane, say, you throw a shot and you strike. By the time you get up there, there's been, 600 RPM, 500 grit going down the lane, and it's changed already. So you have to be, you kind of have to almost predict what's going to happen based on, what's going on. And you look at your cross and your assignment sheets, and there's certain guys out there that you can tell when you move to their pair, you're going to have to make a 10 and 5.
Yeah.
Just because the rev rate and the surface that they're, they got the ball speed and the rev rate that they can use the surface from a steeper angle. So there's a few guys that, will, when you go to a pair that they've been on, that you've got to think about opening it up.
Yeah.
So that's part of it too, seeing who you're following, and, with varied skips and things, you don't follow the same people, but you have to pay attention to who's been bowling on the pair before you, if there's been urethane out there or not.
Mm-hmm.
So, you don't just walk up, throw your ball on the rack and go throw it a couple of times and see what's going on. There's a lot of preparation that goes into it, and a lot of planning and thought process, and then, do your thinking, come up with a plan and execute it, and don't try to change it too much. It's either going to work or it's not. And, I fall into that sometimes where I would try and change my plan on the fly, and next thing you know, I'm going backwards. So a lot of it's, the mental game and keeping in your plan, keeping within your game, and just bowling the pins, and it's definitely very different, and it's very interesting. And it's a lot of fun, and even though, last year was not successful, I learned a lot about what has to happen and what goes into it. So I'm hoping to apply those lessons to, improve.
Yeah, I think that when I bowled the PTQ for the U.S. Open, and I crossed with Matt Ogle, and it was just I thought I was keeping up pretty good. Like when I thought I needed to make a move, I'd make a couple boards or whatever. But he led the PTQ, and he would leave a 4-pin, and he would instantly go change balls or jump like 4 left with his feet, and we're talking big moves instantly, and they would pay off. And it was, for me, it was a couple frames for that to kind of trickle down. I'd think, okay, well maybe it's just this lane, or I like what I'm doing with the ball. I don't necessarily want to change anything yet. And even something simple as the ball sneaking a little bit high, he's making big moves, and they're paying off, and he's kind of staying ahead of it more than anything. And that was a big help for me. And actually, once we got back to town, I had the next 2 months after I got done with that, I was shooting all kinds of big numbers, just because instead of, and even just on a house shot when things don't change a whole lot, just seeing that and how on top of things he was, I got more on top of my own stuff. And like I said, even just on a house shot, it was just night and day. It was just so amazing to watch up close and in person, just the kind of stuff that goes on. But I'm rambling now, so anyway.
No,
yeah,
I mean, I crossed that in the U.S. Open PTQ. I crossed with Cam Doyle, and he was way left and sending it, and I mean, he made him look ball, and it's like, man, it's fun to watch, and thing is, you gotta kind of be careful of that too. It's like, yeah, I'm trying to watch and learn, but it can also pull you off of your game too.
Yeah.
So, having confidence in your plan and your process, and then trusting in it, and not worrying about, the guy on your pair that's making you look bad. That's another lesson to learn out there too. Is you gotta stay within your game and go bowl your game. And it's definitely completely different. I mean, I wouldn't expect it to be the same, but it's cool once you actually do it. How different it is. A lot of opportunities for learning.
All right, so I've got a question for you, and this is in the chat here from my buddy James. What's been your favorite ball since making the switch to Storm Roto?
Up to this point, my favorite ball has been the Halo.
Mm-hmm.
It was, it was big, it was predictable, it was round, and it was kind of a familiar shape.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't, I wasn't used to, 45, 50 feet and then go dead left, So that was kind of a scary shape at first. But High Road Pearl was really awesome. That's my step left, throw right ball. The higher RG, higher diff, it gets to the spot, comes off really hard. Halo, has been my favorite for a long time. And then when I drilled up that IQ Tour Pearl, that one hadn't left my bag since I drilled it. But I just made some adjustments to my grip. So, with the Astro and the IQ, I've redone a couple of other balls with the new specs, and I'm definitely rolling the ball quite a bit better now.
Yeah, it looks really good on the videos.
Yeah, the physics and the IQ Tour Pearl actually have the old specs in it. and the Emerald and the Astro have the new specs. They're not changed a lot, but it's interesting the feel difference going A/B with them like that.
Yeah.
It's took a little reverse out of the thumb, so it slows it down and grab it a little less and just gets through it. It's doing a little cleaner. So.
All right, so let me see if we've got any more. I don't think we have any more direct questions for Justin, but I imagine it has been pretty different because you were with Motive for what, 10 years, 11 years, something like that?
Yeah, 10 years.
So,
pretty much since the beginning.
Yeah, so going from the Motive shape, especially from the last couple of years where everything's quite a bit smoother, and now you've got really, really boomy stuff for the most part, aside for a few balls. I imagine that, making that switch and being out there on tour and having to learn new equipment, plus learn all that stuff, has been just all kinds of great information, and it's really, I'm glad to have you on the team. I'm not entirely sure if I'm, never mind. But no, just really, really glad to have you on the team. Huh? No, I was just gonna say I'm not on the payroll, so I guess I'm on the team though. I guess I can say I'm on the team anyway. So very glad.
We gotta give you your top contributor badge, man.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I know that's what it is. I don't have my badge, so I don't feel special. So anyway, yeah, just super glad that that you were the guy that got that position. I'd talked a little bit about it with them, but it just didn't make any sense for me. And I thought, well, I told Chad, I'm like, well, whoever you get for this, that's got to be good. And then I found out it was you, and it's like, well, that's the perfect decision. So I'm really happy. I'm looking forward to to working with you a little bit, or at least being the guinea pig for all the cool stuff that you guys think up. So I've been talking to Chad a little bit about some guinea pig stuff. So I'm your pig if you ever want to try something out. So.
Well, make you strike more. That's always the goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
8 strikes a game.
Oh yeah. All right. So I think we'll go ahead and let you go for now. I've got some more stuff to ramble about. I've got some questions to answer, and definitely big thanks to you and Chad for stopping by and answering some questions, talking about some stuff. Thanks for the video too. I'm going to share that on the Facebooks and around, so that's going to be a really nice comparison. Thanks for joining us.
Not a problem. I appreciate the well wishes as well. It's always good to chat with you, Luke. I know we've met up at some tournaments and stuff over the time, so it's just great to be working alongside you. So keep up the good work, and if you ever have any questions or anything, or anybody comes up with something later, I'm going to hang out and watch the chat here. So I'll type up some responses. I think I saw Casey Mattingly has changed your fit layouts, mess with how you're seeing the motion on the lanes.
Yeah, there you go.
It hasn't changed how I see the motion, but it has completely changed how I see the ball go through the pins. One of the things that would, when you start to get grabby and you start to hit the ball too much, you hit the pocket all day, but you're going to knock over 9 pins. When you're really clean through it and you project it and you get the ball doing the right thing and you get the right roll off of it, you're like, oh man, that's going to be 8, bang, it's 10.
Yeah.
So, it's not as much, obviously, yeah, you relieve muscle and you get out of the ball cleaner, you get, all those good things, but it makes the pocket wider. Mm-hmm. So, I haven't seen a lot of difference in shape, but I've seen a lot of difference in carry. I've been knocking down 10 pins a lot more things. So.
Good deal. All right, so like he said, he's going to hang out in the chat here. So if you have any more questions, you can ask him that, and he'll be in the chat for a little while. We'll let you go for right now. I got some more bullet points to hit. Once again, thanks for joining us. Good to talk to you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely, Luke. Thank you very much for having me, and remember, always bowl up a storm.
Oh yeah. Thanks, man.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. All right, so I need to save his number. Glad that we could get this worked out. I tried to work out some things before like this. Like we tried to do it for the Crux Prime. I was going to do an interview because there was so much stuff to talk to Chad about with that cover, and the audio came out terrible, and so that's why I did the little promo thing that actually worked pretty well. So, all right, I think. Let's see. Let me go back to my. I'm going to try to answer some of this stuff. I think I skipped some of it. Ken Johnson. Sorry if I missed it. Could you answer the question posed about the spec cover expectations? They're still working a lot with it because with the attributes of that cover and the chemical adhesion and everything like that, it's the solid version is quite a different cover, and that's probably what that tech is going to work best with. It's kind of like we were talking about earlier with the nano and pearl kind of fight each other a little bit. And like you said, it's kind of like having a stronger cover on a weaker core. They end up kind of fighting each other because the weaker core helps the ball get down the lane easier, but the stronger cover wants to dig in and stop now when the ball's not really rolling and revving and quite ready to do what it's going to do. So there's definitely a lot of stuff, a lot more R&D going on with the spec cover. It's not going anywhere. They've been working on it for a long time, so I think that we probably see a lot more spec hybrid and spec solid stuff coming out. It just wasn't going to be a fit for the Astro. And anything else just wasn't really a fit for the Astro. I think that they killed 3 or 4 birds with that stone, so that's going to be heckin' awesome. Rodney Shelby, is the Idle Pearl still stronger than new Emerald IQ Pearl? I did get comparison video with that, so I've actually got. Now I've got a lot of games on my Idle Pearl, and so it's not quite as sharp as it once was. It gets through the fronts a little bit easier for me, but at the same time the layouts are wildly different. I'm pinned down 5-inch pin on the Idle Pearl, and this is the IQ here is a 4-inch pin. So big difference on the layout there. But they're similar. I just get a little bit more push and a little bit smoother motion down lane with the Idle Pearl than with the IQ Emerald here. Yeah, doing the and thanks Jeremy for the donations and stuff too, Jeremy Scott and James Kniffen. Doing the PBA Experience League now, and yeah, it really makes you appreciate the typical house shot. In filming I put it on Facebook here a little bit earlier, but with filming for both this one and the Astro, I really picked a bad time to do this. But people have been asking me about sport patterns, and I happen to have an opportunity to bowl on a couple sport patterns to do the videos with. Now, doing something shiny on a fresh sport pattern, really no matter what it is not really that good of an idea, and I still did my second arrow, third arrow, fourth arrow like I've been doing the last couple videos, and when you're in the wrong part of the lane with the wrong ball for that condition from where you're throwing it at, it's not a whole lot of fun. But we got some good video. I was on Kegel Sphinx at Westridge, which is the first house I normally show, and then I was on Kegel Turnpike at Gage Center. And the volume and the length are pretty similar to house shots, but they're obviously the patterns are quite a bit flatter, especially Turnpike. Turnpike's rough no matter if you're in the right spot with the right ball on the right surface, throwing it really good. Turnpike's still pretty tough. Sphinx was a little bit softer, so I got the video there a little bit quicker. But you will get to see, and I've got plenty of misses to put in the video, most of which were my fault. But I did get some video, and this camera is amazing. This camera is amazing. I can see scratches in the gutters on I haven't even gotten into 4K anything yet, just the bit rate is so much higher on this camera. On the other one, it did 35 megabytes per second. This one does 50 megabytes per second, and the difference in clarity is just stunning. So the videos are going to look really, really good. I'm really happy with this camera. So let's see. Hello, Landon. Let's see. Justin, if you're still there, Sean Mott. How different have the shapes been to you since joining the team? We did talk about that a little bit. Motive stuff is pretty round, and Storm stuff's a lot boomier. So definitely a big, pretty big adjustment. So, all right. Can't wait to see Belmo use this new Emerald IQ. Probably won't see him using it a whole bunch. You'll probably see it, because especially, well, I don't know. You might see it more than I think. He tends to go with the higher RG stuff so that you can really hit him and really roll him at the bottom. It's not very often that you see him throw something earlier like an IQ Pearl or something like that. It's High Road Nano, High Road Pearl, basically anything that says High Road on it. And I'm kind of the same way. I got a High Road T. It's an overseas ball. It's an overseas High Road Pearl. But I really whacked it at a tournament over the last weekend. And just because I can stay slower, I can hit the ball, I can roll the ball, I can control everything about it. And with the stronger balls that roll up a little bit more, they already roll themselves, and so they don't need any help from me. And what I tend to do is try to help them anyway. So yeah, I did see Belmo use the Idle Pearl sometimes this year, and I think that he'll probably be using this one too. But let's see, if the spec cover is limited, as you say, does that mean it's unlikely we'll see a complement to the Crux Prime? We probably will. I don't know if it'll be another Crux. It might be that cover on something else, but they're still learning a lot about that cover. They're still doing a bunch of R&D. They're not just going to put out something that has spec on it just so that they can say that they put something out. And I know that, every once in a while, when something with R2S Pearl comes out, there's always grumblings about, okay, well, R2S Pearl again for like the 200 or 300th time, but they've got a million Black Widows too, and like I said, it's great for consumer confidence. If something comes out with R2S Pearl, the first thing is like, whatever, but then you still know, it's like, it's R2S Pearl, it's going to be a really great ball, but it's just not quite as interesting or edgy or anything like that. So as soon as you get out of hipster mode and realize that you're getting another really great ball, then everything will be fine. So, all right, and yes, the Idle Pearl, that's the fastest one that I got video with on both of the patterns. Once it's with that new layout and getting that cover needs 15 games. That cover needs 15 games. And Halo Pearl, the Idle Pearl, whatever, that cover needs 15 games, and it's going to be a beast. And it's been awesome. I've taken it everywhere. It looks good on the videos. It's wow. So all right, I'm going to go down and hit one more of my bullet points here. We talked about the backpack. I'll put the my jersey design back up here. Maybe, possibly, probably not. Just something simpler to where to league or practice or something, and especially for like the staffers that need to be branded in the bowling alley, but don't want to walk around and want this material because I just never am going to bowl in anything other than this material again. But you don't want to feel like a tool bag walking in there with a name jersey on it. So these are going to be something simple to kind of bridge that gap. And I had it initially with the staffers in mind, but everybody else too. If you like Storm stuff and whatever else, you can have the same material, but you're not going to be spending $100 for the jersey, and you're not going to be walking around with some big tournament jersey on. Like a tool bag. So, let's see. Would it be better to replace a Crossroad, the High Road, to the High Road Pearl? Probably the High Road, because I think the Crossroad was hybrid. Probably the High Road. Physics versus Astrophysics. We're going to see that next week in the video. The physics is, it's earlier, of course. It digs into the lane a little bit more. It's a little bit slower down lane than the Astrophysics is, but at the same time, the Astro clears the fronts so much better. And it's actually kind of interesting because on Sphinx at Westridge, which is a little bit drier, that surface is a little bit higher friction anyway, and not quite as much oil volume on that pattern, the Astrophysics beat it up, and it took forever to get shots with the physics, especially when I was trying to play up second arrow. That just wasn't happening because it'd dig in and stop and go left if I got a little bit inside. If I got a little bit outside, it's still a sport pattern, still going to hang. But then they kind of flipped when I got over to gauge center on a little bit more volume. The physics picked up and looked great, and the Astrophysics I had the over-under with, and so that's going to make them great complements because once I did get a little bit of burn on the lane when I got deeper with the Astrophysics over at gauge center on Turnpike, it looked really good. So I think that's going to be one of those things where you can use the physics, and it's going to be a true complement. It's going to be a nice step down into it. And if they would have gone NRG Pearl, it wouldn't have happened like that. It just wouldn't have. So R2S Pearl was definitely the best, the smartest choice for the Astro. I'm really glad that they did it. Now that I'm at a hipster mode, it's awesome. For average bowlers who want to play as deep as possible without insane rev rates, what type of ball stats? So they'd be targeting bigger cores definitely for that engine to get you going. Asymmetric stuff is always going to help you when playing deep with a lower rev rate. You want as much help as possible, so an asym core is the first place to start. And then you're going to want some cover strength, but not a lot of cover strength, because people still equate hook and back end, and that's not really what they are. And so if you're thinking, okay, well, I want the ball to hook, so I'm going to get a halo, and then you try to play deep with it and it doesn't work out, well, there's a reason for that. You probably should have gone Halo Pearl or something like an Intense Fire that's going to give you more shape is what you're looking for. You're looking for more shape on the back end. Obviously, you want the asymmetric core is what's going to help you get the ball digging and rev and roll and stabilize itself in mid lane. But if you're lower rev and you're playing bigger angles, you still want something to help you out on the back end. You don't want it doing everything it's going to do up front. So, so yeah, that's what you should be. Asym stuff, big asym stuff. So, just not sanded, solid asym stuff, probably. This Logo Infusion have a half Storm, half Roto Grip jersey. You can get it made that way if you want to, I'm sure. But they won't offer themselves half and half. So, Astrophysics versus Halo Pearl. The two covers are different. I've got that E-Trax cover cleaner through the fronts and sharper down lane. The R2S Pearl is still really clean in the front, but it's a lot rounder down lane than the Idle Pearl or the Halo Pearl. So the Halo Pearl I see more shape with. It's a little bit cleaner overall, and that's kind of funny to say because R2S Pearl is a really clean cover itself. But I do get more, there's more definition. When the Halo Pearl does something, there's just more definition in the reaction than there is in R2S Pearl. But you're not going to see the average bowler is not going to see a terribly big difference. For me, it's a big difference, but speaking, in actuality, there's not a huge difference. Have you thrown the matchup BRB? No, I have not. I don't get much under a high road anymore. If I'm getting all the way down to a high road, there's some crazy things happening on the lane. So I don't even get to throw like a hustle line after the first couple, the pro and the say. I hated those, but after that, The ink was good. I really like that one. Everybody loves the ink. And then the POW, the pink one, I really like that, but I just didn't ever get a chance to throw them. And so it's kind of the same with the matchups. I got the matchup hybrid and just didn't really throw it. And this one would have been, I'd have gotten it, I'd have made a video, and then I never would have gotten a chance to use it. So probably anything HP1 line or the hot line and down, I'm probably just not going to get to throw it. So the Halo Pearl complement the physics better than the Astro? No. The Halo Pearl is a great complement to the Halo. The Astro is got, because it's part of that's the core, is the physics core has a lot of torque on the back end, for me anyway. And so the AstroPhysiX gives you that same kind of familiar physics look on the lane. It's just a little bit cleaner and sharper. The Halo Pearl it can be a complement to the physics, but the AstroPhysiX is a lot truer, a lot more familiar of a feel. So I think that you could go, once the physics starts hooking a little bit too much, you can go straight to the AstroPhysiX. I would have to do that and then make an adjustment with the Halo Pearl because it's a little bit boomier down lane. Typically, I like to play a little bit deeper with the Halo Pearl to give it a little bit more of a chance, so I can roll it more and give a little bit more of a chance to pop on back end. So, yep. Yeah, I have a hard time with the original physics on light volumes, and yeah, it's a strong ball. So yeah. Does it make sense to have a Halo Pearl on an AstroPhysiX? Maybe, maybe not. I'm going to carry them both around and see. For the average bowler, probably not. But if you're looking more for shape changes than like hook potential changes, and I'm going to play different places on the lane. Typically, I like to get in deeper with the Halo Pearl because with it being so clean. If I play too straight with it, sometimes it goes a little bit long. And so if I can get deep and really get into it, it's so clean that it's just going to go for days. The AstroPhysiX, I think, is going to be a little bit better from like third arrow, or just a little bit, wherever I play with the Halo Pearl, I'm probably going to be a couple boards right with the AstroPhysiX just because of the rounder shape on the back end. So for me, it's going to be a big difference because I'm all about shapes down lane. Now, if you're looking at a hook potential difference, they're pretty close. So it probably doesn't make sense to have them when that's considered, but from a shape standpoint, yeah, I could see two very distinct places for them. So, logo infusion, there's an answer. Logo infusion is not allowed to put two different ball company logos on customer jersey, even if it's the same family of brands. I tried that myself. Yes, and with it's gonna rain again, great. Even within the Storm and Rotogrip, the brand stuff, just like you see with EBI2 or Brunswick or anybody else that has multiple companies under one umbrella, I am a Storm staffer. So I'm going to use a Storm chamois, not a Rotogrip chamois. I'm going to wear the Storm brand. I'm going to use Storm backpack, Storm bag, Storm everything, because that's who my contract is with. I can use Rotogrip equipment as far as the bowling balls go because it's still within the brand. But as far as being branded myself, I am with Storm, not with Rotogrip. So more in the back sounds like that's the Halo Pearl. Yeah, I think for me, and I did drill them. My Astro is really, really close. I think it's like a difference of an eighth of an inch of the pin. I think the Astro is 45 by 4 3/4 by 70, and the Halo Pearl is 45 by 4 7/8. It might be 45 by 5 by 70. So at the most, they're a quarter of an inch in pin difference. So, oh dear Jesus, I did say. Okay, so James asked me an interesting question. I think this was asked to Belmo on Reddit in one of the AMAs. They asked me anything. Would you rather fight one Malak-sized Duke for 10 Duke-sized Malots. I've never been in a fight in my life, so I don't know how to answer that question. Probably just the one. I did read that AMA. I think that was one of the first things I saw that was when I got onto Reddit. So yeah, that was. I mean, it was a good question. Malot's a pretty big dude now. He has been. I guess he gave up pop or something, so he's been losing quite a bit of weight, and he's getting into shape, and I guess his knee and his hip is feeling quite a bit better. So I will see him at Swiss Trios at the end of September, so I might have to ask him if I can work up the courage to talk to him. Hasn't happened so far. I'm still terrified of little English women, so would it be a good idea to get an IQ Tour Emerald and Supersonic? I don't like, the Sonics don't work for me. They look better for literally everybody else. Like, the Supersonic is great. I don't understand how it works so well for everybody else, and I just can't stand it. It sucks for me. But yes, there's a big difference, especially now that the Sonic's been discontinued. If we haven't covered that here, but the Intense Fire has been discontinued, the Sonic has been discontinued, Hypercell Fuse discontinued, Code X discontinued, and the Roto Grip Clear Poly have all been discontinued. So IQ Tour Emerald and a Supersonic would be really good complements. So I think even more so than the Super and the regular Sonic, because with the Super being quite a bit smoother and then both being still so early, I had them right on top of each other. Like, I couldn't go from the Super to the Sonic because the Sonic's more down lane or more on friction, but the Super is so smooth that so yeah, Supersonic and then dropping down on IQ Tour Emerald would be a lot better compliments in my opinion anyway. So now let's see what Rodney, what shot in your opinion is tougher, a long oil pattern that's very flat 46 feet or so, or a short 32-foot pattern where if you miss left, the ball goes in the left gutter? For me, I don't care how flat it is. If it's long, then I'm going to be in good shape. So the Carmen Salvino pattern is one of my favorites because I can play the middle of the lane and I can stay slow, I can hit the ball and still get the length I need. So all I have to do is get kind of close to what I'm aiming at and put a good touch on it. And if that's all I have to do, then I'm going to be in business. So, yeah, holy crap, it seems like they just came out. Yeah, the Sonic actually came out last March, so it's been over a year for that one. The Intense Fire has been right on about a year, but they had two hybrids back to back. They had the Intense Fire, then they had the Physics. And I'm just not sure why the Intenses weren't more popular. I can venture a guess on the Intense Pearl because it was really early and really grindy and really strong. The Intense Fire doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think it might have just been too much boom because I drilled another one. And even though I drilled it weaker, it's still really strong. So it might have just been, I saw a lot of people using like 3,000 or 4,000 grit. Probably taking the shine off of the Intense Fire is probably the best thing to do with that, but I like both of the ones I had, so that's a little heck of confusion for me. Yeah, only asking because I'm bowling on both shots in my sport league. Yeah, short patterns are just, I suck, and I'm not going to use urethane because it doesn't matter how heavy the volume is in the front. I put the ball down and it hooks. So, and then yeah, the Hypercell Fuse was another one that came out like last January, February. I'm kind of surprised about that one, but we've got to have a hybrid halo coming. So that's the only thing that I can think. And if they put that E-Trax hybrid on there from the Hypercell Fuse on the halo, that's gonna be beast. So yep. And the Codex also came out last March. So, and we've got the Crux Prime is kind of the new solid in the line. So, you throw the ultrasonic or master sonic, I would like to, but I can't. I really like the look of both of them. The ultrasonic is basically a sonic with a different color, but my wife would shoot me, and everyone else would tell me how stupid I am, because I even drilled a second sonic, and it hooks at my toes, and does not carry anything for me because it's so early. They're both so early, and I would love to get them, but I just can't justify spending that kind of money on them. And then having them inevitably just sit in the box on the rack. So, yeah. Shot my first 300 with James Old Intense Fire. Yeah, so I don't understand the Intense Fire thing, but but yeah. We'll have to see how James likes the Idle Pearl. We got him into one of those because he hadn't thrown one of those before. So, all right. So another bullet point. I've been rambling enough. So the Turbo YouTube channel. I'm trying to work on. When will they re-release the virtual gravity shape lock HD? They've been doing the shape lock a crap load overseas. They've got all kinds of virtuals all over the place, so it's really popular overseas. So if you're interested in that, SRG, BBFS, the Storm Rotor Grip Bowling Balls for Sale group, on Facebook, you can find a couple guys. I'm sure that Nick Brown could get you. They just came out with a Virtual X, I believe. It looks really sharp. So Virtual X, if you're interested in, and they've got another virtual, that pink one, or is that no, that's the sword. That's a different one. Okay, and what makes you decide such drastic layout changes on different balls? The IQ, well, the big thing is the differential. So the differential on the Idle Pearl is not quite twice as much as the IQ Emerald, but it's a ton higher. The big thing about the IQ Tours and why they're so popular is because they don't flare a whole lot. And that makes them, they have a low RG, they have a low differential, so that's going to make the ball really rolly. It's going to make it really controllable down lane. And the good thing for me is that I can drill an IQ really strong, and it's still not going to flare that much. And so between like a 2 and 4 inch pin, or anything under 2 inches is really rolly. Anything over 4 inches is going to lose axis rotation faster down lane. So between 2 and 4, you have kind of the most usable, really rolly, really continuous, but high flaring layouts. Well, I can get a really continuous motion out of an IQ with drilling it a little bit stronger, but still not have the overkill on the flare, because what you have if you drill something 3, 3.5, 4 is you're going to have a crap load of flare, and if something already has a big differential, it's going to flare all the way around the balls, all the way around the ball. And part of the flare potential is separating the oil rings. The bigger separation, the more traction, the more fresh cover that it's going to expose to the lane on every single rotation. The smaller, shorter the bow ties are going to be, and so I can get something really rolly and really continuous with an IQ because it's got a lot lower differential. With the Idle Pearl, it's got a really high differential, so if I go stronger on that, I'm going to get something that's pretty continuous, but it's also going to flare all the way around the ball and be really aggressive and earlier than I really want. So it's just something that happens to work out with the IQs. I drilled an IQ Tour that strong too, and so I can hit it and it'll still roll, and it's really continuous down lane. I can actually use these from deeper angles too, because with when I've drilled IQs weaker before, I mean, and nobody's idea with using an IQ Tour is getting into fourth arrow. That's just not very smart. But with something like this, with a cleaner cover, with a faster response down lane, this is something that you're going to open up, that you can open the lane up with a little bit more. And if I like the reaction with the stronger layout on there, I can just keep chasing it further left and further left and further left. I don't ever get to a point where it kind of hits a limit and stops continuing down lane. So that's why the difference on that. Iridex is an oddball. High Road X is a really, really interesting ball. It's one that's, I think it works better with surface on it actually. I liked mine quite a bit early, but then as I started using it, it started going longer and longer, and I don't use it anymore. It's not that I didn't like it. It's just most of the time the High Road Pearl and the High Road are a little bit better in the similar situations in the High Road X. But I think if you got a High Road X and took it to like 2,000 grit, I think it'd be really. Don't be afraid to break the factory shine. I think it. I'm going to give another one of them a shot. I'm going to do it at like 2,000 and do a little bit different because I already have the High Road Pearl and the High Road, and those are kind of right in. There's a little bit of overlap with all three of those, and I think that if you do take the shine off of it, that'll make it fit in a lot better with the other two. Yes, the Intensifier is a lot different from the AstroPhysiX, a lot different. And I actually got video with that one too. So the comparisons that I got for the Astro are going to be the Physics and the Intensifier, and the comparisons that I got with the IQ Tour Emerald are the IQ Tour Solid and the IQ Pearl. So, and yes, the AstroPhysiX is quite a bit different from the Intensifier. Would like to see a higher RG asymmetrical like the Zero Gravity. I was actually going to send Chad something asking about that. So Justin, if you're still hanging out, something like the Zero Gravity. I actually have one sitting on the shelf here, brand new. But yeah, I think it was 255.035, if I believe I remember that. So I think the hardest thing for amateurs deciding what layout to put on different balls. I guess that's why we ask all these questions. Especially, I mean, it doesn't matter a bunch. The higher your average, the more it matters, and actually even the stronger the ball, the more it matters. Because if you have something, people getting all worried about layouts on a hustle or something, well, it's a 253.030 something, so you're not dealing with a very strong core, and that's what the layouts are meant to do, is alter core shape, alter core dynamics. And so the more active or the stronger the core is, the more the layout is going to matter. So if you're drawing a hustle, or a tropical surge or a matchup or something like that, the layouts aren't going to change a whole lot unless you do something really, really crazy. And even me, I drill, aside from IQs, I drilled everything pin down. Pin goes right on the bridge on everything. It's an easy decision. That just blends the back end a little bit more for me. So I let the ball still be I want my differences to be just the ball, not ball and layout and everything else, so it maintains kind of a consistency for me. I do 4-inch pins on the IQs just because I can get away with it because of that differential, and on everything else it's just pin right into the bridge. Simple. So it's just, for me, it blends the back ends a little bit more. For somebody that has a lower rev rate or a little bit higher speed, you're going to want something more aggressive. So, but don't worry too much about layouts. There's a lot of, hipster's been my favorite word here recently because it just really describes things and people really well, and the layout hipsters are, it's odd to have somebody that averages 180 be super concerned about layouts. It's one of those things that, if I'm going to look at golf balls, I'm not going to spend too much time looking at like a Pro V1, looking at the differences between a Pro V1 and a Pro V1X. It's just not, it doesn't matter for me because I'm not that great of a golfer. I'm a little bit over a bogey golfer, and so I just need to focus more on my swing and making sure that the ball goes straight. I don't need to be worried about trying to hook it around trees or trying to get it to drop and stop on the green or something like that. So layouts are kind of in the same vein. I don't think you really need to worry too much about them until you get up a little bit higher. So everything I have is pin up. Pin up is going to make it more aggressive down lane. And also because pin-up used to be the thing if you wanted a bunch of length and back end. Pin-up used to be the thing, but I forgot where I was going with that, so I'm just going to stop that there. Was your wife bowling before or after you two met? She was actually working at the bowling alley. And I was working in the pro shop. She was working the front desk and kind of all the other stuff. And she walked by the pro shop one day, and I said, "Oh my God, Becky." And that's it's kind of the story there. So, yeah, she was bowling, but not for very long. So, her name is not Becky, it's Angel, though. It would have been great if her name was Becky. Appropriate, some might say. Yeah, the videos are coming May 31st. We have a deadline. 3 weeks before the ball releases is when we can start posting videos and reviews and all that stuff. We can start talking about stuff, obviously. But as far as videos, it'll be next Friday. So I will probably do another live stream like I normally do, and I will probably do it on Friday because we're busy on Saturday. We have Brew at the Zoo on Saturday. They're going to have like 30 or 35, 40, 50, I don't know how many different beer vendors, beer companies. My brother's going to be out there with Norseman Brewing Company. Some of the other local places are going to be out there, and basically you get like a little 4-ounce glass and you walk in there and you get to try anything that you want. And they're all over, and we have a zoo here, and they're just placed at spots all over the zoo, and there's food trucks there too, and so it's like $40, $50, something like that, to walk around the zoo and drink a bunch of great beer and eat. So definitely not doing a live stream that night. So yeah, it'll probably be next Friday because I can release the videos on Friday. So I'll go ahead and normally we have league, but yeah, I'll probably videos next Friday and probably another live stream because that's just kind of what I've done. So yeah, 255/037 for the zero gravity with a. So yeah, it's a very, very weak ASIM. I think it's something along like the Honey Badger lines where it's not a very strong ASIM, but I think it's a little weird. So I'll have to ask Chad about that because I was kind of curious myself. Okay, All Out Show Off. Yes, I really like that one when it came out. I don't throw it anymore, but I still have it. I really did like that one. All right, so back to bullet points. The Turbo YouTube channel. So if you've ever been interested in one of the hesitations I still see is with rock tape. And I don't really understand it that great myself. I see people with all this tape on, and I'm like, okay, well, it's kind of expensive for a roll, and I don't know how to apply it. I don't know where to apply it. I don't know what to do with it, so I'm just going to leave it alone. Well, Turbo has a great YouTube channel. If you're interested in their products too, turbogrips.com. But Turbo's YouTube channel needs a lot more traffic because they'll put up a video and it'll be like a month later and it'll have like 60 views. And they've got tutorials if you're interested in the rock tape or really any of their other stuff. And they talk about some of their athletes too. They have little feature videos. And so everybody needs to go to the Turbo YouTube channel and look that stuff up, especially if you're interested in the rock tape at all. They have short videos. They don't have just one like long, hour-long placement and instructions and whatever else. They have very specific placements on some of them. So if you're having knee problems, it's a 3 or 4 minute video to go look at some rock tape for your knee. They have shoulder placement. They have all kinds of everything, and they're split up into these little helpful videos. So I'm definitely going to try to get more traffic over to the Turbo YouTube channel because they've got a lot of great stuff over there, and I am going to look into some rock tape just for the heck of it. And those videos are going to be very, very helpful to explain kind of the and they also kind of explain the idea behind it and what it's supposed to do and all that good stuff. So go visit the Turbo YouTube channel, and they've got a lot of really awesome products too. So there's a bunch of stuff at turbogrips.com that I guarantee you don't even know that they offer. Especially like I'm talking about the backpacks and see if I can pull that up really quick. I got a picture of the backpacks that I sent into Logo Infusion with those jerseys. Like I said, the lime one and the lime one and the red one didn't really look quite right. So save file as sure unnamed one. But the backpacks and the 3-ball rollers, Angel's got one of the backpacks. She's got the lime one, and then she's got a one of the blue tournament rollers and one of the pink tournament rollers, and they're really, really sharp. And like I said, I wish I could use them, but the storm stuff takes precedence. But that backpack's awesome, and the new bags I just got are pretty awesome too. So this is gonna kind of work out for me, so I can use these. So I can get these jerseys in the turbo colors because they're really sharp. All right, there you go. So those are the turbo backpack colors. The same thing for the tournament rollers. They just look really, really sharp. So go check out the stuff over at Turbo. Just subscribe. Thank you, Ben Goose. You won't regret it, trust me. Go back and see all kinds of awesome stuff. You have to check out my there is an opinion video coming for at least the IQ Tour Emerald because I've got an angle on it. The opinion videos are tough because I've had some people watch them and say, well, I was really disappointed in this. You kept cutting away and all these memes and everything. I'm trying to watch ball reaction and you're just screwing around and I just don't like this. And I'm like, well, it's not a review. I have a review. And then sometimes it's, if I just don't have an angle on something or the ball just doesn't seem that funny, I have a definite angle on this one, so we're going to do an opinion video. The Astro pin up compared to the Halo Pearl is what I think you mean. Probably not. Probably not, because the E-Trax cover is somehow even cleaner and sharper down lane than R2S Pearl is. So that E-Trax cover is really, really got a defined motion on the back end. I just don't think that you're going to be able to, no matter how you drill an R2S Pearl ball, you're just not going to be able to squeeze that kind of definition out of it no matter what. So, yeah, pinup now is just more diff on the ball. So yeah, you're going to get, you're going to take material more out of the side of the core, which makes it taller, which is going to increase the differential. So, yeah, pinup isn't really long and flippy. It's going to be flippy, but it's not going to be super long. So, yep. So yeah. Ben, the turbo videos, yeah, they're really good stuff. It's just for some reason nobody knows about them. I don't know if they don't put the tags in there or I don't know why they don't have more traffic because they're really good videos. And I kind of stumbled on it myself the other day because I was looking for some rock tape stuff because I wanted to be able to educate myself a little bit for myself and to be able to answer more questions about that stuff because I don't really talk a whole bunch about turbo stuff here, but going to the website, they've got a bunch of good. They've even got like harder grips. So I think they're the Classic Pros. They're they're higher on the durometer, so they're not quite as soft as the traditional grips. And so if you either tear your fingers up or tear grips up too fast with the conventional grips, and so you have to go without grips, but you don't really like it, these are harder grips. So they're going to last longer. They're not going to tear your fingers up so much. They have the Quad Classic Pros. And I didn't even know those existed. I think a lot of people didn't know that they existed. So, yeah, go check out the Turbo YouTube channel and check out turbogrips.com. So I'm going to do kind of a video on the Turbo Grips website and all the products that they advertise and that they have for sale. And then kind of make a push to get more traffic on that YouTube channel because it's really good stuff. So, is it possible to recreate a factory out-of-box surface or change it as soon as you get it? No, with the process at the factory, you're never going to perfectly replicate it. But surface changes so fast. Once you get a couple games on it, it's going to be, you're going to get some lane shine on it, and it's not really going to, factory surface doesn't last that long anyway, so put a couple games on it and it's going to act a little bit different. So, alright, so yes, the AstroPhysiX and the Emerald IQ, the review, my reviews are going to come out next Friday, which is 31st of May. Release date for both of them are June 21st. James, I found that 500 1,000 Powerhouse Factory Finish gets really close to Utah's factory polish. Most of the time I go 1,000 and then polish, and that gets me pretty close, or it gets it to where I like it anyway. So yeah, I don't start with the 500 pad, but I go with the new 1,000 pad and then do whatever polish. Yeah, on a spinner too. So yeah, yep, I'm with you on that one. New camera. We talked about the new camera. The new camera is awesome. I think I can even see a difference just on the live stream. It's more about internet on a live stream, but this the picture looks sharper even just on not a very high megabyte per second whatever, but the videos are going to look sharp. Just the 1080p regular high definition is going to look great. I haven't messed with any 4K stuff yet, but this looks so good I can't tell it's not 4K, honestly. So the higher bit rate is really, really crazy. So yeah, that's going to be awesome. Let's see. Tournament success. I've had a really, really great showing at a lot of tournaments recently. We just got back from the Greater Ozarks in Springfield. It's one of the biggest team doubles, singles tournaments in the country. And aside from bowling like an idiot in team in the first game of singles, I went plus 323 the last 5 games of doubles and singles. And so got up pretty high on the 6-game combine. I'm going to cash and everything to team. So that went really well. I went down to the Four States Open in Pittsburgh, Kansas, and ended up second in scratch all events, third in handicap all events, like 12th in both of the combines, 15th in singles. I think my lowest finish, and we were third in team, and I think my lowest finish was like 33rd in doubles or something. So that went really well. We get some money back from that. State went okay. There was a couple things I didn't cash in, but I got money back from the Southwest tournament in Wichita. That went really well. So I haven't gone anywhere in a while where I didn't end up having a really, really great weekend. And most of it's due to practice. I've been getting out and practicing every Friday. I've really been thinking about stuff a lot more. I've got my fit where I like it. I've had that for a while, and then more pinned down, smoother layouts on the back end, except for the IQs. I like boom with the IQs. I like them boomy. Everything else is already pretty boomy, so the layouts are helping a lot with taming stuff down at the pocket, just throwing calmer shots, trying to pay attention to the shot and not thinking about bracket money, which I still do too much of, or the score up there. Just focusing on the shot, having confidence in moves, just getting more experience and bowling better. It's one of those things that I haven't been a tournament bowler for very long, because when you're in the pro shop, you just don't have a whole lot of time to do it. So now that I'm getting out to tournaments, there's a lot of experience that you get. Peak time, no thanks. But it's just, and people ask me, well, how do I get more comfortable at tournaments, or how do I get better at this? You just have to go bowling. There's no substitute for experience. But I'm putting the work in too. I'm making more of my spares. I'm not leaving as many pins to miss. So more strikes will save a whole lot of opens. But I'm focusing on the shots and practicing and just making moves quicker, buying into them. Because at the end of the day, if you're bowling tentative, that's going to hurt you a lot more than if you happen to throw in a little bit too confident. I bowled a lot of really tentative games to start off my weekend at Ozarks, and then as soon as I got done with I started off singles with a 185, and I thought, you know what, I've been tight this whole time. Now I obviously don't have to worry about brackets this set now. So I just relaxed, I made the move that I thought that I should have made, and then my lowest game the rest of the tournament, the next 5 games, was 256. So yeah, doing it too. I was scared I'll suck. Yeah, that's kind of where I've been, and that's the thing is when you go to a tournament, it's something bigger than league. And one of my buddies, Mark Birkenbein, said something to me the other day, and because I was telling him, well, I still get I'm still getting used to it, I'm still getting experience, and he said, well, what you have to do is you have to bowl until everything feels like league. And what he meant by that is that, there's still some people that really, really get up for league. You have to bowl, so to kind of segue off of that, you have to bowl in league until it feels like you're just out practicing. And you have to bowl, and so building off of that, you have to bowl tournaments until it just feels like you're bowling league, which should feel like practice. So you should go out there and just, okay, well, I'm just going to go out there, I'm going to focus, I'm going to make shots, there's no nerves, there's no anything. You're just focused on making the shots, and I think that that's the biggest thing that's happened for me as I've gotten more comfortable. Because you go to a tournament, you look at the leaderboards, you know that so-and-so is going to be there, and seeing all these big numbers up on the leaderboard, well, you can't go in there thinking about numbers and shooting for that leaderboard. You've got to go in and think, okay, well, I'm just going to bowl the best I can bowl, and we'll see what happens at the end. I've started doing that with, I used to be a pretty religious bracket checker too, so I'd bowl my first game and I'd go up there and check and go and check and go and check and see how many I made it through. I don't really look at them anymore. I just think, okay, well, even if you have, like I got in 40 brackets in singles, which isn't a whole lot. It was only $200 worth, and I shot 185, and I thought, well, okay, I don't have to worry about brackets anymore. I still made it through quite a few of them. I think I made it through 13, and then the second game I shot 250 something, and the last game I shot 270. Funny enough, I tied my a bracket final, but I made it through all 13. I actually made money starting with a 185 and getting dumped out of all those brackets. But I just don't. I mean, you just gotta bowl what you can bowl. Focus on the strikes. Write down the scores. Don't really pay much attention to those. But yeah, you just have to pay attention to the shot. You can't worry about scores. You can't worry about brackets. You can't worry about standings. You can't worry about the guy next to you shooting 250 that game, because it could go totally different the next game. You just have to get there, and you have to throw shots. You have to pay attention to making good shots. You have to pay attention to making your spares. And if you just happen to have a bad day, that happens to everybody. But it really hasn't happened to me. The more experience I get, and the more helpful stuff that I have, like for Mark saying that, well, you just have to bowl tournaments till they feel like league, and that I had just never had thought about it like that before. But when I do that and just focus on mechanics, focus on making good shots, it's all worked out so well. I've done really, really well in tournaments this year. So we got a big Labor Day tournament on Monday, not Labor Day, Memorial Day. Got a big tournament up in Kansas City that I'm going to go to. Hopefully that'll go well. I expect it to go well. And if it doesn't, oh well. I've made quite a bit of money on tournaments this year, and I've had a couple. I mean, the worst tournaments I've had have just been kind of even mediocre. I mean, I've been breaking even on, even when I don't bowl that great, I'm still breaking even. So, Nick Brown, what's up? Man, you got heavy plugs at the beginning of the video. I've talked about SRG BBFS several times. I got my jersey there in the background with the patch, and have talked about that a little bit. We've been talking. Somebody asked about the Shape Lock HD core and the virtuals. sent somebody your way. So I think that you do have a couple of pending requests to join the group too. So you might check those. Okay, so we talked about tournament. Another thing I want to talk about is handicap, because everybody throws a fit about handicap for some reason. And I've touched on it before. I've made videos about it before. But I don't think it's that big of a deal. And when I do brackets now, I do half scratch and half handicap, just to kind of spread, so that you don't hit the same person so many times. And like, you're going to have the group that gets in handicap, you're going to have the group that gets scratch. Very few people get in both, because the scratch bowlers say, well, I'm not going to get beat by handicap. And most of the time you don't get beat by handicap, because handicap's only 80 or 90% of whatever the number is, and the more you go over that number, they're going to have to shoot significantly higher than their average to get close to you. I made a lot of money. I shot 785 in doubles, and I got in half handicap, half scratch, and I quadrupled up. So, I mean, handicap's one of those things that, yeah, you can see there's some names on the board that are going to have, that shot the set of their life, and then they got a couple hundred sticks on top of it, and you're looking at, well, gosh, look at this guy with all this handicap. But you're somehow ignoring the scratch bowler. Andrew Kane, for example, at Ozark shot 1602 for his 6-game combine, which is averaging 801, and he shot 837 scratch in singles. And I don't know why you look at the guy that shot a big number with his handicap, and you don't look at a guy that, because nobody averages 279. I mean, he's a good bowler. He probably averages in the 240s, but he's still, even if you shoot your average, we're looking at 720. So why are we not talking about the scratch bowler that bowled 110 pins over his average for the one set, and ended up averaging 800 to the thing? So, so everybody likes to throw a fit when a handicap bowler bowls over their average and gets help, but nobody has a fit when the scratch bowler has a wide open shot and just destroys it. So I don't understand. And something else is that if it's like 90% of 220, I love that, because that limits them at 90% of 220. So they've got to bowl so much better than I do, because I average 240. So I'm getting, if I shoot my average, I'm getting 20 pins more than they can get. Or actually, if they average like 170, they're only getting a percentage of that. So if they average 170, they've got to shoot 200 something, where all I have to do is shoot my average. So the higher of an average you have, the higher of an average you have, further past the limit of the handicap, because handicap's always going to have a limit. So I didn't time it better. Anyway, view deleted message. Arsenal. I don't know. I'm not doing this. Anyway. So handicap is really not that big of a deal, and everybody's going to have that time where they jump their average 20 pins. It happened to me. It happened to everybody else. It's frustrating sometimes when you got somebody that's getting a lot of handicap and is bowling well at the same time, but it eventually catches up with them, and it sucks sometimes, but it's just the name of the game. If you go to a tournament and you know if there's handicap involved, you're the one getting yourself into it. Either find something to scratch to bowl or don't bowl. But you need the handicap bowlers, because they're the ones that, they're the majority of the field, and they're the ones that put all this money in the prize fund that I'm walking away with pretty regularly. So, yay for handicap bowlers, yay for handicap. I'm fine with it. So, it's really not a big deal. How much do you travel for tournaments? Not like super far, but again, I'm still not, really into tournament stuff. There's a lot of people that are saying, hey, do you bowl this or you bowl this? I'm like, well, I've never heard of it before, but I had a really weird thing coming out of youth, because I was only in youth for a couple of years, because I started when I was 19. So I was in youth as long as I could be, but all the people I bowled with in youth were younger than I was. and most of them got out of youth and went to college anyway. That wasn't really ever on the radar for me. But and then the adult bowlers really didn't know who I was, and they had everything set up for them anyway. And then a couple of years after I got out of youth leagues, I got into the pro shop anyway. And you just don't bowl tournaments when you're in a pro shop because you're always working when other people are bowling. And so I was just lost forever. And so now I'm getting to go to some of these tournaments that I've heard about, and hearing about a bunch of tournaments that I've never bowled before. But generally speaking, Ozarks is about as far as I travel, which is aside from nationals. Nationals will go wherever that is, but that Greater Tulsa Open, Southwest. Part of the good thing is that we have so many tournaments around here that I don't really need to travel. Plus the Kansas City tournaments, we have sweepers once or twice a month. And then between that and Southwest in February, March, November is Greater Tulsa Open, May is Springfield, Nationals is June, July, something like that. And so I hit several bigger tournaments a year. And the Pittsburgh thing is probably going to become a thing now too. And there's a tournament drop in Missouri that some guys are thinking about asking me to. So there's so much stuff to do here that I don't really need to travel. I would like to travel, but still kind of working up to it. Yep, same thing in golf. Focusing is huge. I found bowling and golf similar. It's the mental thing. There's so much mental going on in both golf and bowling, and the more you get into it. High road has a high RG and high diff, but the core looks tiny. The inner core is tiny, but it doesn't have an outer core. So it's a little weird because it does have a core, but it doesn't have a core. So big core is kind of both. The people use them a little bit interchangeably. Sometimes they can say big core to mean low, really low or strong, basically strong, or they can use it to describe an actual big core, like the fight in the street fight had that really crazy iron cross core that was super high RG and kind of medium high differential. It was a big core. But yes, Hypercell Fuse discontinued. Should I get one before they're all gone, or do you think Storm or Roto will release something similar in the not too distant future? We have to get a hybrid Halo, and it's going to have that E-Trax hybrid cover on it. I would bet all kinds of money on that. So we're going to get a hybrid Halo, and it's going to have that cover on it. So, yep, the Greater KC Open, that's in September too. So, and then Swiss Trios in Wichita is into September. So I actually have too much stuff going on most of the time. So, I hear a lot of people talking about the 2-piece and 3-piece balls. Can you explain the difference? 2-piece is like a high road. So they have the inner core, that little small, but the thing is kind of the whole block with that. It's really a core with that little kind of flip ball in there, and then the cover stock. And most other balls, like say the IQ, it has the core, and then it has the filler material between the core and the cover stock, and then it has the cover stock. So that's where you get the 3-piece. You have the core, which is the inner core, and then you have the filler material, which is called the outer core, and then you have the cover stock. Well, the high road doesn't have an outer core. It's just the whole thing is just the core and then cover stock. So that's what the difference between those are. All right, babbled up about handicap. Oh, okay. Another thing, it's almost June, but I've got something I'm going to do over the summer. Speaking of the Iron Cross, do you think we'll see it again? Probably not. It was weird. The fight was weird. I actually liked the street fight better than the fight. The fight wasn't that bad, but it was just weird. It's a little. Sometimes things are just a little bit too different. Like the original phase was pretty early and smooth, and I really liked it. I thought it was great, but it was so different from everything else that was out there that it never really caught on. People didn't like it because it didn't go 50 feet and turn sideways. So, what do you think about filler material claims by other manufacturers, Dynamic Core, etc.? Well, Some of it is really good marketing, and some of it may or may not be a good thing. Like they're saying that there's extra energy from the quantums because they don't have that filler material. It's more cover stock, and so you get so much more energy transferred to the pins. But do you want more energy transferred to the pins? Because you, generally speaking, you want to keep the pins low and going sideways. Well, if you have a bunch more energy that the ball is putting into the pin, they're going to fly all over the place. It might not be as great for carry as, you know, everybody thinks. So some of it is really good marketing. Some of like the carbon fiber stuff from Hammer, whether or not it actually works is kind of beside the point, because nobody's going to keep a ball. I mean, you're talking about most people only keep a ball for about a year and a half now. It's very, very small percentage of people that make it 2-3 years. I mean, when you're thinking about having a 3-year warranty on a ball, how many people are going to get to the end of that 3 years, or even past 1.5 or 2 years, and then have a warranty claim on that ball 2 years later? It's just not going to happen. So it's really great marketing. Maybe the carbon fiber does actually help, but you're not going to use the ball long enough to really find out most of the time. And if you do, and it's been 2 or 3 years sitting in your basement, you probably didn't keep that receipt, and you're probably not thinking about getting a replacement ball. It's probably been discontinued by then. So you're going to get something different than what you had in the first place. So at the end of the day, it sounds nice on paper. Is it really practical or useful? I don't know. Is the dynamic core stuff actually a thing? I don't think so. I've talked to Chad about it before. I think we were talking about that on something else, and he said that they haven't really looked into it because it's the testing that they've done hasn't really shown it to be that beneficial or that much more than just kind of a good marketing angle. Okay, why didn't we talked about this a little bit earlier. If you go back to and this will be interesting, Keith, why didn't the Astro get a Pearl version of the physics cover instead of R2S? I talked to Chad about that, and we actually had Chad McLean, Storm's technical director, and then we had Justin Wyman, the technical developer, were on earlier. I had them on they called in and I talked to them a little bit, and Chad's the one that designs all this stuff. So I was being a hipster too about the Astro, because I wanted NRG Pearl, just because I wanted NRG Pearl because it's sexy, I guess. I don't know, because it's different. And I heard it was going to be R2S Pearl. I was kind of disappointed, and then actually thinking about it, to get a complement to the physics, you want something that's going to be cleaner down the lane and more responsive on the vacuum. That's what you want. NRG Pearl wasn't going to make that happen, because NRG Pearl, and he says that the trick with NRG Pearl is that NRG is a very early, very smooth, very forward-rolling kind of cover stock. And that's not really an attribute that you want in a Pearl cover stock. You don't want early and smooth and forward-rolling. You want something that's going to go down the lane hot. And looking at the kind of the Pearl cover stocks that they have to choose from, R3S is kind of early and smooth. NRG is definitely early and smooth. R4S kind of in the same boat. So all the stuff that they're looking at are early and smooth reactions. Well, there's a lot of torque and a lot of pop down lane for the physics. And so really the only intelligent choice, if you're looking at something that's going to complement the physics, is R2S Pearl. That's what you're looking at. Plus the added side effect there is that there's a lot of people that are missing the code black, which was R2S Pearl and an ASIN core. And so they're killing a couple birds with one stone. I don't know why you'd want to kill birds though, so probably not going to use that. But they're getting a lot of things done with these two releases. They're filling a big hole that they had between Shiny Masterline stuff and Shiny Thunderline stuff with the IQ, plus they're re-releasing the IQ to a Pearl, plus it's sexy and it smells great. And so that's getting a bunch of work done there too. AstroPhysiX, great compliment to the physics, which it wouldn't really have been with any other Pearl cover on it. And you're kind of filling the void left by the passing of the code black. So that's why that. So, Street Fight was amazing. I'm so on the fight, but I still throw, the Street Fight. My Street Fight was really smooth and even, so I liked it quite a bit. Keith, but it's very interesting. If you want to go back, once this processes and uploads, it'll upload as a video, so you can go back and watch those interviews. Chad's interview starts about 10 minutes in, and then Justin starts about 35 minutes in. So, Heights is 9-year-old Pink Panther. I've got some pretty old stuff back there too. But yeah, the general stuff, like even if I have something sitting, I think I've got my IQ has some like little small ring cracks around the fingers, but I've had that ball for a year and a half, and it's been my spare ball, and I've used it all kinds of wherever. So even if we did have like 3-year warranties or something like that, I'd just order another one. I wouldn't even put in a claim in it because it's been so long that it's got so much traffic on it. And, I don't know. Yeah, if you didn't have the handicap bowlers, you wouldn't have leagues. There wouldn't be enough people. There wouldn't be people going to tournaments. They wouldn't. So I love handicap bowlers. And if they have a day, good for them. I mean, why did the scratch bowlers have to win everything? Everybody, well, I put a lot of work and time and effort into this, and some guy just gets to come in here and get a bunch of free pins, and here I am with all this money and time, and I'm getting screwed. No, they're trying to make it an even playing field, and if somebody is actually putting time and effort into their game, and they're not just, shooting 170 their entire life, if they're getting better and they're getting the benefit of the handicap on top of that, good for them. Because it's not going to last very long. They might have, because I went from 180 something, I finished my first year of youth at 170 something, and then I averaged 209, 210 the following year. So I jumped up quite a bit, and that there was one whole year that I got a lot of handicapping stuff. And it worked great for that year, but then all of a sudden when you're averaging 210, and you're a soft 210, because I'm kind of like that left-handed. I'm a house baby left-handed. I can average 210, 215, put me on anything tough, it's going down pretty quick, and it's not going to be, it doesn't take a whole lot to knock me off of that 210. So, yeah. Let's see. Is the Emerald one of the strongest pearls out there? James answered that for me. No, it's an R2S pearl is actually kind of in the, it's not even really in the middle, it's kind of below the middle in terms of cover stock strength. They've got so much more stuff that's quite a bit stronger than that. So it's throwable. It's not too strong, it's not too weak, it's just kind of perfect. That's why we keep seeing R2S on everything, because it's just a perfect reaction. I mean, it does everything right. So, yeah. We're going to say Luke, Tamara, and Luke, Brad, and Kyle videos. I don't know about the Luke, Brad, and Kyle thing, but Tamara and I have been talking for a while about, actually I haven't talked to him for a while, but we were talking about some kind of collaborations, but he does, gosh, he's busy and I'm busy, and I don't know. It might happen one of these days if I see him at a tournament. I saw him at Nationals last year, and that was really fun. So maybe if we can get to some tournaments, he's New York or something like that. So really far away. Now, Brad and Kyle, Brad needs to watch the Big Lebowski before I'm going to do anything with him, because the interactions that I've had with Brad is mainly me drinking at tournaments and making Big Lebowski references that he totally doesn't get because he hasn't seen the movie. And so all the interactions that I've had with Brad make me look like a complete moron, because I've either been, a tournament's not going good, and the times I've been right next to him, I've had bad days. Both, I was, having a bad day going into the tournament and sucking the tournament, and so I'm not Mr. Pleasant. Or then I've been, having a couple drinks loosens me up a little bit, and so I start making what I think are funny references. And when, I'm saying something about there's a there's a guy that I bowl with that looks a lot like John Goodman. And so last time I saw Brad, I went up to him and said, go ask Keeler where his Pomeranian's at. And Brad's kind of like, okay, man, okay. And Keeler hasn't seen The Big Lebowski either, so he doesn't get it. And so I'm the idiot standing there with my drink going, my God, you guys. I mean, watch the movie. I mean, it's show dog with papers. You just getting bored. It gets upset. So anyway, Brad's just gonna have to watch the movie before I even consider doing anything with him. But yeah, I mean, hopefully that'll be a thing, because their channel's just exploded. They're making the best bowling videos on YouTube right now. Easy. Just super, super great stuff. And I mean, Kyle Sherman has the prettiest teeth in bowling. Fight me. How's the Emerald compared to the 230 or the IQ 30? I think the 30 was cleaner. It was a little bit more defined of a break point. From what I saw of it, it was just a little bit sharper. All of them are going to be pretty close. Now the Emerald, let me see. Yeah, so James, I think, shared Justin's video for me. We put that up. It's right on top of the Tour Pearl, so yeah, it's going to be a little bit different from the 30. Because the 30 was a little bit cleaner, a little bit sharper for whatever reason. It's just a color change. How the Idle Pearl compared to the new Green IQ? I actually did get footage of both of them. So you'll see next Friday. The Idle Pearl for me, but the layouts are my layouts are really, really different. The IQ is a 4-inch pin, so it's stacked. So it's earlier and a little bit sharper, and the Idle Pearl is drilled pin down. It's a 5-inch pin down, and so it's a little bit longer through the fronts, a little bit slower, a little bit rounder on the back end. But as far as a ball-to-ball comparison, the Idle Pearl is typically going to be a little stronger, a little flippier, because it's got more differential. So, pretty similar type balls. The IQ Pearl, brand new and drilled the same way. You're going to get more defined reaction out of the Idle Pearl, probably a little bit stronger too. So, Hammer's in Pennsylvania. He's out there in the, I don't know how close he is to my daughter. My daughter's in Pennsylvania, right in the middle of Pennsylvania. Do you think of any core that R2S didn't work with? No, and that's the thing. That's why they keep putting it on everything. It's Storm's Black Widow, basically, but we've been putting R2S on stuff for 15 or 20 years now. It's just, again, it's just, you know what you're going to get. It's hard not to freshen something up and think R2S anything whenever you're doing something. So I just don't know. I actually wasn't a big fan of the High Road Solid. That one kind of sucked, and that had R2S Solid, but I don't know. But it's just one of those things. If you see that R2S is going to be on a ball, you feel pretty confident in spending a couple $100 on it. Because even if it is kind of similar to, even if it's an experience that you've had in the past, it's like going to a place for a really great meal. Either some place cooks a really great steak, or they've got great tacos, or they've got great pizza or something, and you keep going back over and over and over again for the same thing. It's just so damn good. You know what you're going to get, and that it's just that. So, yeah, R2S is good at fight you. I don't think anybody's going to fight you. So, if everybody's at Rotogrip that's normally their big thing is Expo. You can always count on Rotogrip for 2 or 4 balls. I think the only time that we didn't get it was with the No Rules Exist and something else, because they were the plant was the factory was going so full tilt that they couldn't announce anything else because they didn't have the capacity to actually make it, so they had to delay a few things. So, yes, Justin, if you're still here, everything proceeded satisfactorily. Yep. Oh, dang it. This stupid phone. Don't buy an iPhone XS Max. This is just so ridiculously frustrating. Yeah. Phone sucks. Hybrid Solid wasn't that good, but yeah, that cover on a similar cord. Yeah. Yes, I've thrown both balls. This is actually the one that I've got right here. I got video yesterday and today, and they're on sport patterns. A different sport pattern in each house too. So I got both of them on Monday, and I got a chance to throw them yesterday, and then again today. And they're both, they're both can't misses. The atomic core and the physics is really good, and then R2S Pearl on top of it, and then this is a remake of the IQ Tour Pearl. So it's just, it's kind of a can't miss type of deal. They both look really good. AstroPhysiX is kind of reminiscent of the Code Black if you're missing that. This fills a big gap in the line that we have right now, plus it's one of the best reactions that we've ever had, period. So a lot of good things going on across the board for all of those. So I think was that the last thing? Oh no, the new video series that I got into, and then I got distracted. I'm going to have a video series. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming this summer. Now that I have a camera that is mobile, that I don't have to have tethered to a power strip and an extension cord and taking a whole bag worth of stuff and setting up and tearing down, I can just take the camera and the tripod. That's all I need now. I just have to remember to actually charge the camera because I had some issues this morning. Barely had enough juice to finish shooting this morning. You think it's a good compliment to Preps Prime and Black Widow Gold. Depends on which one you're after. You probably have a little bit of overlap with the IQ and the Black Widow Gold, so probably go AstroPhysiX. But this IQ might just replace your Black Widow Gold. So anyhow, new video series. I'm gonna do something that I'm gonna call the off season. There's a lot of different things that you can do in a couple months between the end of league season and the start of the next league season. Stuff, putting together an accessory bag, buying some stuff that you may not buy during the season because you're normally buying bowling balls is a great time when, aside from IQ and AstroPhysiX, so I used to be spending money, period. But there's a lot of things that you can do in preparation. There's generally people don't bowl league during the summer, and if you do, a lot of people use it more for practice than anything else. So there's things that you can do practicing. There's some accessories that you can get into. You can try some different things. It's a good time to try maybe a different layout or on a ball, or get something. If it's been sitting in the closet, go plug it and try a different layout. It's not that expensive. So there's some practice. I got some drills that I think are kind of interesting. I put some stuff on Patreon. I do have a drill that's I call it the 1 through 10 drill, and basically what you do is this is if you don't have this functionality, you can still make it work. If you can get find a cheap practice session where it's like $10 an hour or $10 for 2 hours, or you can find some cheap practice. Some places have, I know that anything that's got the Brunswick sync scoring, you can actually do something called My Shot, where you can pick, or it's just any kind of software anywhere that allows you to do spare shooting and pick what you want to shoot at. The 1 through 10 drill is you shoot each pin. So you start with 1 pin, 2 pin, 3 pin, 4 pin, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But the deal is that you have to go 10 for 10 to be done with the drill. If you miss one, you got to start all over. So it can get really long, especially if you're not good at shooting 10 pins, and lefties will do it backwards. They'll finish with the 7 pin. So they would go 1, 3, 2, 6, 5, 4, 10, 9, 8, 7. And you're not done and if you go 10 for 10, then you're done with the drill for the day. And if you don't, then you're going to be bowling for a while. And there was another drill that I thought that was kind of interesting too, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But there's a lot of stuff that you can do in the couple months over the summer months when you're either not bowling or not bowling as much. And I'm going to do a couple videos on that. So anyhow, I think we're about getting down to the end of the thing here. Any advice on competing at tournaments? I did talk about that a little bit earlier. It's experience. It's really doing better at tournaments is pretty well 100% experience. You just have to put yourself there. And like I said, one of my buddies told me the other day that was a pretty good tournament bowler, one of the kind of the big names when I was younger. And he said you have to bowl tournaments. You just have to bowl stuff until everything feels like league. And what he meant by that was that, for tournament bowlers that are bowling stuff and it's just kind of you just show up and bowl, bowling league is like practicing. So you have to bowl league until it feels like practice, and you have to bowl tournaments until it just feels like league, which in turn should feel like practice. So you have to bowl until tournaments just kind of, you show up and you bowl them. There's no, you can put a couple $100 down on brackets, and if you have a sucky day, then it's just whatever, and you try it again next time. And if you have a good day, great, but you can't go in there being nervous or tentative or thinking about stuff. You focus on the shot, you focus on your mechanics. If you feel like you need to make a move, just go on ahead and do it. If it doesn't pan out, whatever. It's not always going to work out. It doesn't work out for the pros every single time. But you just have to not sabotage yourself, basically, with either worry or concern or hesitation or anything like that. You have to just bowl until it's like, okay, well, I feel like I should make a couple more moves left. I'm just going to go ahead and do it and see what happens. So, yes, and then my Patreon, speaking of that, I have put a lot of stuff up here recently. I've gotten a chance to put some articles up, and so I got a bunch of good stuff on there. And your card only gets charged once a month, and so if you go pledge a certain amount, you can get a free preview. So you can go on there, and if you so you can basically get a free preview of the kind of the content that's on there, and if it's not really your thing, then you can just remove your pledge, and if you like it, you can stay. It's $5 a month. It gets charged at the beginning of every month, and we got Discord is really the thing. Patreon is more like a gateway to Discord. It's an online community. We've got our own private chat server, so you have to be a member of Patreon to get in the private chat server. But if you've ever been on other like forums or Reddit or bowl reviews or something like that, with something free, anybody can just sign up, and it can get kind of toxic and whatever like that. But we have a really great community of people on Discord, so it's pretty awesome. So I used to bowl better after a few drinks. Now I don't really. I actually bowl better if I don't drink. So I'm sharper from shot to shot. I don't really, the drinks would kind of calm my nerves a little bit, but I don't really have the nerves so much anymore unless I put too much money in brackets, and I think about that. But anyway, it's about nap time, so I think we're going to go ahead and shut this down. We've gone for a little over 2.5 hours. If you did miss the beginning of this, I had an interview with Chad McLean and an interview with Justin Wyman. So Storm's technical director, Storm's technical developer. Those guys were nice enough to stop by and talk a bit about the new stuff. So we really did have an actual preview. We had a great preview because Chad did talk about some behind the scenes stuff, and then with the AstroPhysiX, and then Justin came on and talked IQ. He's also got a video where he compares the gold ball, the original IQ Tour Pearl, to this one. It's on his YouTube channel. The link is in here a couple times. I'll put it in the description after this thing uploads. But for now, thanks a bunch everybody for coming out. Yes, Storm knocked your power out. Dude, I was worried, Chad. I was heckin' worried. Yeah, Ryan, 37 hours. Yeah, buddy. yeah, Ryan's going to come down and bowl a tournament and hang out, and that'll be fun. So yeah, Ed, I know Chad, you're not. I think you said you weren't bowling on Monday, but you can always come hang out with us. Ryan Ford will be there. But yeah, this is a good one to go back and watch because I had, like I said, Chad McLean and Justin Wyman were on for about the first hour talking about the new ball. So that was a lot of fun. Glad that they got to. You're kidding? He'll be there. Okay, interesting. But yeah, I was actually worried. You guys got the storm that we had passed through at like 6 o'clock, and we had the lights flicker and the power think about going out a couple times. So yeah, I was worried about the stream. So anyway, because I normally ramble at the end of these things, before I get any more questions, we're gonna see you guys later. Thank you. Yep, Rodney, I'm turning off the stream anyway, and you're very welcome. Thanks everybody for showing up. This was a good stream. We got a couple good balls that are coming out. Next Friday is the reviews, and another live stream. So thanks a bunch, guys. We'll see you later. If you missed my little teasers or promos, don't forget to check those out. Those are pretty cool too. I just uploaded one yesterday and then one today. So thanks, Mark. Thanks everybody. I'm out. This camera is heckin' awesome.